Chapter 745. Ah. Xia Shibin also knew that this 5 poisons secret book was found in the cultivation ruins together. His face suddenly changed. What should we do? We can only take one step at a time. Fortunately, no one should know that we took it out. Xiao Qin comforted, I heard what you said to Cheng Zhongfan. You did a good job. Coming to this auction, the only thing that comforted Xiao Chen was that he received the news that the miss was safe and sound. However, the strength of the Quishan sect also made Xiao Chen a little worried. Even the deputy director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau couldn't negotiate with the Quishan sect. It seemed that their background was not ordinary. Xiao Chen still knew nothing about the internal martial arts world. Over there, Wang Chake stood far away and didn't dare to follow. He hadn't integrated into the small group of Xiao Chen yet. Without Xiao Chen's permission, he didn't dare to come over at will. He could only stop not far away and look around awkwardly like a lookout. Fortunately, the auction should be about to start. Xiao Chen saw a lot of people walking to the entrance of the hall, so he waved to Wang Chake and quickly said to Xia Shibin, don't talk about other things first. It's more important to complete the mission first. Understood. Xia Shibin nodded. When Wang Chake saw Xiao Chen calling him, he was very happy. He trotted over with a smile on his face. Brother Yang, you called me? I came here this time to kill you. Xiao Chen's words made Wang Chake's face pale, but Xiao Chen ignored him. Instead, he pointed to the venue not far away and said, let's walk and talk. How could Wang Chake still have the mood to talk? He was a little shaky when he walked. He could only beg, Brother Yang, I was wrong. I was really wrong before. Don't kill me. It wasn't that he had no backbone, but Xiao Chen killing him was easy and pleasant. Didn't he see the horse gang leader, Pockmark Yao, was killed by Xiao Chen in one move? Oh, but you used to work for Song Billion. How can I trust you? Why should I let you go? Xiao Chen asked, it's not easy to get a chance. If it were you, would you give it up? This? Wang Chake put on a long face and said, I'm sincerely defecting. That old thing Song Billion has already abandoned me. Ever since I was chosen to carry out the mission with you, he hasn't contacted me. I'm completely disappointed. I can't return to his camp. You make it sound nice, but how can I believe you? Xiao Chen laughed. I have here some of the dirty things that Song Billion has done over the years. Just like what I did to the Gao family and the Qi family before, but compared to him, I'm nothing. He has been plotting against others all these years. Wang Chake quickly said, I have evidence in my hands. Oh? Do you have proof? Xiao Chen was stunned. This Song Billion didn't seem to be a good person. As far as he knew, Xia Zhili had never done anything to harm others except for his selfishness. However, this Song Billion had obviously surpassed this level. Also, Song Billion is actually a slave of the Song family in Wulin. Therefore, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau has turned a blind eye to him without any evidence all these years. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made any contributions and he would have been taken down a long time ago. Wang Chake continued and said all the information he knew. Song Billion has a relationship with Wulin? Xiao Chen was a little shocked after listening. I've been with him for a long time. I heard him mention it when he was bragging to us after drinking. In fact, I don't know if it's true or not, but it should be true. Otherwise, Song Billion has no achievements. How can he be on an equal footing with Deputy Bureau Chief Xia Zhili? Wang Chake said, when Deputy Bureau Chief Xia was young, he used his merits to exchange for his position. He was a little willful when he was old. As long as he didn't do anything that would harm the interests of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, no one would care about him. But what about Song Billion? So I think what he said is 80% true. It turns out to be the case. Xiao Chen nodded. How much evidence do you have in your hands? There are a lot. Wang Chake didn't hide it. I have saved it in the network disk. I will send you the account and password now. Brother Yang, you can transfer it. As Wang Chake said this, he took out his mobile phone and sent the message to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was a little surprised. He didn't expect Wang Chake to betray him so thoroughly. In this way, it was equivalent to completely falling out with Song Billion. No matter what he said before, it was all empty talk. But now there was evidence. Xiao Chen was equivalent to holding his lifeline, and Song Billion could no longer accept him. Xiao Chen directly logged into Wang Chake's network disk. Sure enough, there were some photos and audio recordings as well as some text account books. These were the things that Song Billion had instructed him to do over the years, and some things that he knew. Xiao Chen transferred these to his own network disk, and then patted Wang Chake's shoulder. When I'm not in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, go to Deputy Bureau Chief Xia's office more often. It's all the same. Yes. Thank you, Brother Yang. Wang Chake was overjoyed. He knew that Xiao Chen accepted him. In fact, he didn't want to betray him even if he could. If Song Billion could protect him, then he definitely wouldn't betray. It was just that Song Billion completely abandoned him, so he had no choice but to protect himself. However, he also knew that even if Xiao Chen accepted him, he wouldn't trust him too much. It could only be said that under the same circumstances Xiao Chen would still take care of Xia Shibin, and he could only be regarded as inferior at best. However, he was already very satisfied with this. This time he thought that he was dead for sure. It was impossible for him to go back alive. Fortunately, he had too much evidence of Song Billion in his hands, which made Xiao Chen keep him. Otherwise, if he had no value, why would he keep him? He brought everyone into the auction and saw that Cheng Zhongfan had arrived from a distance. Xiao Chen nodded to him and Cheng Zhongfan was overjoyed. He thought that he had established a good relationship with Yang Jianan. As for the others, Xiao Chen roughly looked at them. Some were masked and some were showing their real faces. However, most of them were masked. It could be seen that these people were still very careful. Xiao Chen found an empty seat and sat down. It wasn't too close to the front, but this kind of place didn't need to be close to the front. It was fine as long as the auctioneer in front could hear the bid. Not long after he sat down, most of the people in the auction venue had entered, and the door was closed. Xiao Chen did a rough count and found that there were nearly 1,000 people in the venue. It seemed that after the two mounted gangsters were killed, the people behind them all came in. However, what surprised Xiao Chen was that he saw Zheng Xinxiang again. Previously, Zheng Xinxiang was called to pay the deposit, and Xiao Chen was lured in by Cheng Zhongfan. The two of them separated and were very happy to see each other again. Brother Xiang, you're here. Xiao Chen said with a smile. Yeah, young hero Chang, why aren't you with the people from the Quishan sect? Zheng Xinxiang was also a little surprised. He thought that Xiao Chen would be with the people from the Quishan sect when he saw them. Oh no. Didn't I tell you just now? I'm actually not from the Quishan sect, but, on the surface my relationship with them is a little complicated. Xiao Chen said. Oh. Zheng Xinxiang was stunned, but he didn't ask further. This kind of thing was obviously not a good thing and it was better not to know. Sai, I spent 10 million. That's the deposit, but it's not refundable at all. I asked, and they said that they're afraid that some loose cultivators with no money will come here to join in the fun. So they have to prove that they have the financial resources to participate in the auction. I think it's a scam. That can't be helped. The organizers probably don't dare to scam the money of the big sects, so they scam the loose cultivators and the small sects, Xiao Chen said. Yeah, but it's not that they don't dare to scam the big sections. This auction has a very strong background. They probably have some business dealings with these sects, so they're just giving them face. If they really want to scam them, they don't mind, Zheng Xinxiang explained. I see. Xiao Chen nodded. As they spoke, the auction began. An auctioneer walked up to the stage. It was a woman of unknown age. Her face was covered with a thin veil, but her face could not be seen clearly. However, her figure was very hot, and she should be the mature type. As soon as she came up, she attracted the cheers of many male cultivators below. Xiao Chen didn't expect these cultivators to be equally lecherous. They would cheer at the sight of a beautiful woman. It was really the same everywhere. Those who didn't know better would think that this was an auction in the secular world. The woman was wearing a well-trimmed cheongsam, which further accentuated her beautiful figure, but not revealing any flesh. It was obvious that she was not here to sell her body. Every move she made exuded a mature charm. If one's willpower was not good, they would have lost their souls by now. However, Xiao Chen wasn't such a shallow person. Putting aside the fact that his girlfriends weren't bad, even if he didn't have those girlfriends with Xiao Chen's temperament, he wouldn't be mesmerized by a masked woman. Young hero Chang, you don't seem to be interested in this woman? Zheng Xinxiang was a little surprised. Isn't Big Brother Xiang the same? Xiao Chen smiled. I know myself. I know that I am definitely not worthy of her. I come from a small family, how can I afford to raise such a stunner? Even if I can afford to raise her, she will be snatched away by bad people. Zheng Xinxiang shook his head, but young hero Chang, you are different. You are strong and have a background. These men who are cheering are mostly young talents from various sections. That's why they are so unscrupulous. Look at those masked men, they basically don't speak. Even if they are envious, they are just looking at her, they don't dare to say it. Hee. Xiao Chen smiled. This woman was indeed attractive. The mature auctioneer stood on the stage and gently waved her hand. The lights in the venue immediately dimmed. A few spotlights shone on the auctioneer's body, making her exquisite figure even more visually shocking. She suddenly became the focus of the audience. Chapter 746. Greetings, heroes and warriors. I am Xiao Fei, the auctioneer of this auction. Welcome to the Martial World Spring Festival auction. Xiao Fei's voice was very pleasant to the ears, but Xiao Chen found it a bit awkward. It felt as if it was not her real voice. Her voice was pleasant to the ears, but it felt fake. As soon as Xiao Fei's voice fell, the audience burst into a warm applause. Obviously, everyone present was Xiao Fei's fan. Our Lunar New Year auction has been held 5 times, and this year is the 6th. Every year, a mysterious item will appear, and this year is no exception. Why don't you all make a guess as to what it will be? Xiao Fei deliberately kept everyone in suspense. She smiled and said, "All right, let's cut to the chase. The auction officially begins now." Xiao Chen looked at Xiao Fei and his heart skipped a beat. Could it be that the mysterious item was the 5 poison secret manual that he had taken out before? Thinking about the middle-aged man's expression at that time, it should be the case. Although he regretted it, there was nothing he could do about it. If he had known that the secret manual was so mysterious, he would not have taken it out. If someone wanted to investigate the origin of the secret manual, they would probably investigate him. That would be asking for trouble. The first auction item is a heavenly raven ginseng. As soon as Xiao Fei's voice fell, a staff member presented a box. The box was opened and the item inside was shown to the cultivators present. Then Xiao Fei continued, "Everyone knows what heavenly raven ginseng is. It is one of the main ingredients used to concoct body-tempering potions for martial masters. It is priceless and very rare." The first item of the auction was a rare treasure. It immediately attracted the cultivators present. Of course, only some martial cultivators were interested in it. Demonic cultivators were not interested in it because they did not need to temper their bodies. The starting price of this heavenly raven ginseng is 10 million. Each increment must be no less than 1 million. "Alright, let the auction begin," Xiao Fei said. 15 million. As soon as Xiao Fei's voice fell, another voice sounded. However, it did not increase the price by 1 million or 1 million. Instead, it directly increased by 5 million. It was obvious that this person was rich and was determined to get this heavenly raven ginseng. Otherwise he would not be so heroic. However, he wasn't the only heroic cultivator here. As soon as this cultivator finished speaking, another voice rang out, "I bid 20 million. Xiao Chen felt that the voice was somewhat familiar. Looking towards the source of the voice, he realized that it was actually the arrogant young master of embroidered clothes sect that he had met on the road. It seemed that not only was this person arrogant, but he was also very wealthy. Is embroidered clothes sect opposing our steel leg hall? You clearly know that this thing is very important for us to cultivate our steel legs, yet you want to snatch it from us?" The first person who made a bid suddenly stood up. He was a bearded man and his voice was very angry. "Ah, what a joke. Naturally, the highest bidder wins the auction. You can't afford it, yet you're complaining here. Aren't you ashamed?" The arrogant child sneered disdainfully. 30 million. The bearded man didn't say much and directly quoted the price. 40 million, young master arrogant said coolly. The first auction item had almost become a tool for these two people to fight. Naturally, no other sects and cultivators would participate in the bidding. First, the price was too high, so it was not worth it. Second, they didn't want to offend embroidered clothes sect and steel leg hall because of such a small matter. Both of them were big sects. 50 million. The bearded man slammed the table in front of him and shouted. Young Master Arrogant wanted to continue speaking, but he was pulled by someone next to him. Obviously, it was his fellow sect member. He felt that it was not worth it to increase the price, so he stopped him. Young Master Arrogant didn't dare to disobey this person. He said unwillingly, so what if I give it to you? I spent 50 million to buy this heavenly raven ginseng, and this thing is only worth 30 million. What a fool. If you can't afford it, just say it. Don't say that the grapes are sour when you can't eat them. Is it fun? The bearded man looked at young Master Arrogant with disdain. At this time, a staff member brought a card reader and asked the bearded man to swipe his card. The auction house was also afraid of people who didn't pay after winning the auction. This way they could prevent people from calling out random bids. Even if he wanted to raise the price, he would have to pay the bill if he lost the bid. After all, the auction house charged a 20% commission. Therefore, he had to think carefully before making a decision. Xiao Fei didn't seem to be affected by the tense atmosphere between the two sections. When the bearded man swiped his card, she still used her charming voice to say, "The first auction item has given us a good start. Thank you, brother from Steel Leg Hall." When the bearded man heard this, he felt as if his bones were going soft. His eyes instantly turned into the shape of a heart. Originally, he was a little distressed about spending 50 million to buy the heavenly raven ginseng, but now he felt that it was all worth it. No matter how much money he had to spend, it was all worth it if he could get a compliment from a beauty and some attention. Haha, supporting Xiao Fei is our principle. The bearded man glanced at young Master Arrogant proudly. Mother***her. Young Master Arrogant was so angry that he cursed. If he knew that Xiao Fei would pay attention to him, he would get her even if he had to spend 60 million. After all, there was no man in this auction who didn't want to fall under her skirt. Moreover, he could guarantee that although everyone was here to participate in the auction, it had become a custom to visit Xiao Fei every year. Xiao Qin frowned slightly. This Xiao Fei really knew how to confuse people. With just a few words, she got a loyal supporter of the auction house. These men. However, Xiao Qin sighed. He suddenly thought of himself. Wasn't he also a die-hard fan of Xin Jingxian? Sai, who hasn't been young before. If the bearded man and young Master Arrogant knew that Xiao Qin used such an old-fashioned tone to evaluate them, would they die of anger? The second auction item is a 1,000 miles talisman. Xiao Fei waved her lotus-like arms gently in the air, drawing a beautiful arc. Her whole body seemed to be dancing. Coupled with her coquettish voice, it made people's hearts beat faster. Even Xiao Qin couldn't help but have a slight reaction. Of course, it was purely a reaction of lust. He had to admit that Xiao Fei had already reached the acme of perfection in manipulating men's hearts. Following Xiao Fei's movements, another staff member carried a wooden box onto the stage. Then she took out the item from the wooden box and displayed it. Everyone knows about the 1,000 miles talisman. This is a talisman refined by a talisman master. After using it, one can teleport thousands of miles away in an instant. It's a rare treasure for escaping or pursuing enemies. Xiao Fei opened her right hand and pointed at the 1,000 miles talisman. She glanced sideways and explained the function of the item. Her every movement was full of temptation. Especially when she turned her body sideways, her beautiful curves were revealed to everyone. Coupled with the spotlights, the waves of her chest made people's imaginations run wild. Although most of the men below the stage were head over heels for her, they couldn't help but be shocked when they heard the name of the 1,000 miles talisman. Martial cultivators were mighty figures from ancient times. Nowadays, whether it was the internal or external martial arts world, they no longer existed. Even if some Taoist temples still retained some of their legacies, they could only make simple talismans. For example, fire talismans, water talismans, etc., could be used to light a fire or light a cigarette. However, it was impossible to achieve more profound functions. Therefore, such ancient talismans were rare. In particular, talismans with very powerful functions were rare treasures. It should be known that once this item was bought, it could allow one to teleport thousands of miles away in an instant. If someone was chasing after them, it would definitely be a great escape weapon. Xiao Qin was also a little shocked and tempted. This was a good item. If he used the 1,000 miles talisman after the auction, wouldn't he be able to escape in an instant? However, he couldn't do it. If he ran away, what would happen to Xia Shibin, Song Huawu, and Wang Chake? Moreover, this thing might not be cheap. It would be a waste if he used it for such a trivial matter. Sure enough, Xiao Fei soon confirmed Xiao Qian's thoughts. Everyone knows the function of the 1,000 miles talisman. The starting price is 30 million, and each increment must be no less than 10 million. It was indeed a high price. It was 3 times higher than the valuable heavenly crow ginseng. Xiao Qin directly gave up competing after hearing it. I bid 40 million. A voice sounded. It was a masked cultivator. His bid surprised everyone present. However, the auction was for the highest bidder. Why would a small sect or a rogue cultivator buy it? 50 million. Another voice sounded. It was a long-faced cultivator without a mask. He didn't say much after bidding. He just quietly looked at the 1,000 miles talisman in the hands of the staff member. Xiao Qin was a little surprised when he saw his appearance. The men here basically had their eyes on Xiao Fei, but this person only stared at the 1,000 miles talisman. He was a strange guy. 80 million. A voice sounded, shocking everyone present. Before, the price was increased by 10 million, but when it came to him, he directly increased it by 30 million. He was really rich. Looking in the direction of the voice, it was a man wearing a black bamboo hat. The hat covered him from head to toe. It was impossible to see his face clearly. Moreover, his voice was neither male nor female. Obviously, he had changed his voice. Even his gender could not be distinguished. At this price, Xiao Qin gave up the intention of bidding. How could these people from the outer martial arts world be so rich? Where did the money come from? The long-faced cultivator frowned, but he didn't say much. He directly said, 100 million, 150 million? The black bamboo hat said without hesitation. The long-faced cultivator was a little shocked this time. What was this person doing? Could it be that the purpose of this black bamboo hat was the same as his? Chapter 747. He wanted this talisman because he wanted to go back and study it, not to use it. His sect had some connections with Taoism. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was an evolution and inheritance of cultivators. However, apart from research, if he wanted to use it, spending such a high price was simply burning money. Although these people who came to the auction were the elites of the outer martial arts world, most of them represented the will of their sections. Although this talisman was very useful for saving one's life, if one spent so much money on something useless to the sect, wouldn't that be asking for a scolding when they went back? 160 million? No, 200 million. The long-faced cultivator hesitated for a moment and directly said while gritting his teeth, 200 million was the limit he could bear. If he couldn't get it, then he could only give up. At this price, the previous competitors would no longer compete. Only the man with the black bamboo hat still said in a somewhat strange voice, 300 million. Hiss. When the people present heard this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. This was simply burning money. One had to know that everyone could see that the long-faced cultivator was putting up a final struggle. As long as the bid was 210 million, this black bamboo hat could be won easily. However, he directly bid 300 million. This was really a case of being rich and willful. Wasn't he too rich? However, although they were shocked, no one bid again. Even the long-faced cultivator smiled bitterly. He knew that he had not lost unjustly. The other party's financial strength was really too strong. 300 million going once. 300 million going twice. 300 million going thrice sold. Xiao Fei gently picked up the small hammer and hit it. She stretched her arm forward, revealing her exquisite and curvy body again. The sound of swallowing was endless. However, at this moment, Xiao Qin looked at Xiao Fei with a strange expression. He was already used to the 300 million for a talisman, but for this Xiao Fei he seemed to have a sense of déjà vu for a moment. However, it was only for a moment and then he had no impression. He had not participated in any other auctions, so he should not have seen this Xiao Fei. Moreover, such a stunner exuded temptation with every move. Xiao Qin felt that he should not forget her if he had seen her. The staff took the card reader and the long-distance talisman to the man with the bamboo hat to complete the formalities. The man with the bamboo hat seemed to be very straightforward. He directly swiped the card and then kept the long-distance talisman. The auction continued. Xiao Qin closed his eyes. He didn't dare to be interested in the other items in this auction. Of course, even if he was interested, he wouldn't be able to afford them. The prices of the items in this auction were heaven-defying. However, listening to Xiao Fei's voice was a pleasure. His purpose in coming here was to bid for the extraterrestrial meteoric iron. When the time came, he would fight with all his strength. But to Xiao Qin's surprise, the big-bearded man, the arrogant young master, and the long-faced cultivator all continued to participate in the battle. On the other hand, the truly wealthy man in the bamboo hat seemed to have no interest in the remaining battles. He closed his eyes in contemplation, but there was not the slightest hint of enjoyment on his face, as if he were about to fall asleep. It seemed that this person was either a woman or a cultivator with a firm will. She was immune to Xiao Fei's charming voice. The next auction item is a 1,000-year purple snow lotus. Xiao Fei's voice made Jing Xinxiang, who was next to Xiao Qin, suddenly tremble. It was not that he liked Xiao Fei, but this 1,000-year purple snow lotus was exactly what he needed. His master was seriously injured and needed a 1,000-year purple snow lotus as medicine. However, this thing was very rare. He had asked around and learned that it would be sold in this auction, so he came to participate. Otherwise, in such a high-standard auction, the Greenstone faction would not participate in the fun. Why would they come if they didn't have money? The staff of the auction showed the 1,000-year purple snow lotus in the box. Jing Xinxiang's breathing was a little rapid. Xiao Qin opened his eyes and looked at him. He asked, "Do you want to buy this?" "Yes, my master needs this medicinal herb." Jing Xinxiang nodded. "Everyone has seen it. The starting price of this 1,000-year purple snow lotus is 20 million. Each increment must be no less than 10 million. Xiao Fei smiled and said, "Everyone please bid. 30 million. Jing Xinxiang said directly, 50 million. A voice sounded and Jing Xinxiang was shocked. He did not expect someone to compete. He had limited funds. The price was too high, he could only miss it. 60 million. Zheng Xinxiang had no choice but to bite the bullet and bid. 80 million. The voice continued to bid. It was actually the long-faced cultivator. 100 million. However, before Zheng Xinxiang could make a bid, another voice rang out. It was a middle-aged man with a pale face and no facial hair. He was not wearing a mask. Instead, he casually sat there. Clearly, he was also from a large sect. Smiling Mithriya, you are doing this on purpose, right? The long-faced cultivator's expression changed and asked angrily. We, the Joyful Clan, need this thing for dual cultivation. What's wrong with that? The person called Smiling Mithriya said indifferently, as if he was not afraid of the long-faced cultivator. From their conversation, these two people's sects should have some conflict. Otherwise they wouldn't be bickering here. Very good. 150 million. The long-faced cultivator shouted. 200 million. The smiling Mithriya looked at the long-faced cultivator with a smile. Oh, then I'll give it to you. Did you forget that I don't have that much money? If you have more than 200 million, I will buy the 1,000-mile talisman. The long-faced cultivator laughed. Are you stupid? You spent 200 million on something that is worth tens of millions. Anger flashed across the smiling Mithriya's face, but he still maintained his smile. I am willing to spend money to make Xiao Fei smile. What's wrong with that? The smiling Mithriya said indifferently, if you can't afford it, just say that you can't afford it. Up to you. The long-faced cultivator laughed and did not speak. On the other side, Zheng Xinxiang was secretly complaining. This time he had only brought 250 million. Previously, when he entered the shop, he had spent 10 million, so he still had 240 million left. Now, it seemed that these two people were fighting and had suddenly raised the price. It would be very difficult for him to get that 1,000-year purple snow lotus. When he saw that the horse-faced cultivator had given up, he was overjoyed. Thus he hurriedly called out, I offer 210 million. Senior Smiling Mithriya, it just so happens that I'm here to take over. Please let me have it. The smiling Mithriya looked at Zheng Xinxiang with a smile. No one could tell what he was thinking from his face, but in fact he was calculating in his heart. He made the bid to argue with the long-faced cultivator, but now that the long-faced cultivator had given up, it was useless for him to buy it. At this moment it was a good thing that someone wanted to buy it, but the bad thing was that this person actually said that he wanted to buy it. This made the smiling Mithriya very angry. If you said that you wanted it, just bid directly. Why did you say it out loud? Aren't you saying that I don't have money? The smiling Mithriya usually cared about his reputation. Since he had said it out loud, he could not let it go. He said coldly, 250 million, what do you mean? Why do you want to buy it? Can't I need it myself? That long-faced guy said that the grapes were sour because he couldn't eat it. Did you take it seriously? This. Zheng Xinxiang was stunned. He did not expect things to turn out this way. Sigh. Xiaoqin could not help but sigh. This Zheng Xinxiang was still too inexperienced. Although there were shameless cultivators, there were also some who wanted to save face. This smiling Mithriya was such a person. He knew that Zheng Xinxiang said this out of kindness, but this kindness seemed to be almost like charity. How could the smiling Mithriya accept it? 200 million. Zheng Xinxiang wanted to bid again, but he immediately thought that he had no money. He could only shut his mouth resentfully, but he was not willing. He gritted his teeth and turned to look at Xiaoqin. Young hero Chang, can you lend me some money? I can if it's tens of millions, but I don't have any more. Xiaoqin had a pretty good impression of Zheng Xinxiang, but he really didn't have any money right now. The 5 Poisons secret manual hadn't been auctioned yet. His own money was the money he got from Cheng Zhongfan previously. Okay. Thank you. Zheng Xinxiang immediately had confidence and bid, 260 million. 300 million. The smiling Mithriya smiled insincerely. Kid, do you want to go against me too? Zheng Xinxiang complained. He seemed to understand that he shouldn't have said so much before. If he didn't say it, maybe this smiling Mithriya wouldn't continue. But if he said it, this person would definitely compete to the end because he wanted to save face. However, 300 million was not enough even if Xiaoqin lent him tens of millions. He could only give up helplessly. No, senior, I don't dare to do it again. The smiling Mithriya looked at Xiao Fei proudly. Xiao Fei, no one else is competing, right? Hee big brother smiling face, this 1,000-year-old purple snow lotus is yours. Thank you for supporting Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei smiled and nodded lightly to the smiling Mithriya. The smiling Maitreya was very satisfied. He waited for the staff to come over and swiped his card to keep the 1,000-year-old purple snow lotus. Although this thing was bought to fight with Horseface and it was not useful for the time being, it did not mean that it would be useless in the future. However, what made him angry was that something that could be bought with 200 million was interrupted by Jing Xinxiang. In the end, he had to pay an extra 100 million. After the staff left, he lowered his voice and asked a joyous clan disciple next to him, "Who was the person who bid against me?" "Marshal uncle, please wait a moment. I will go and investigate." The disciple nodded and responded, then went to inquire. Not long after, the disciple came back and said, "It was the acting leader of the Greenstone sect, but the Greenstone sect no longer exists." "Okay, I got it." The smiling Maitreya remembered this name. What he hated the most was people who humiliated him. In his opinion, this kid said that he wanted to take over in front of so many people. It was obvious that he looked down on him. The auction was still going on, but Jing Xinxiang was a little dispirited. He sighed and said, "Young hero Chang, I'll be leaving first during the halftime break. Since I can't buy what I want, there's no point in me staying here." Chapter 748. You're leaving just like that? You don't want to look around anymore? It's not easy to come here. Isn't your 10 million wasted? Xiao Chen also saw Jing Xinxiang's disappointment. That can't be helped. The deposit is not refundable. Jing Xinxiang said helplessly, "I originally thought that the money I brought should be enough. I asked around, and the price of the few 1,000-year purple snow lotuses that appeared before was only around 100 million. There wasn't such a high price, so the money I brought was enough. Who would have thought that such a thing would happen? So it's my fault. I shouldn't have said that." "So that's how it is." Xiao Chen nodded. He had a good impression of Jing Xinxiang, so he thought for a moment and said, "I do have some medical skills. You can leave me the sect's address. When I'm free I'll go and take a look at your master. Who knows, there might be a way." "Oh really?" Jing Xinxiang didn't doubt Xiao Chen at this moment. Instead he said in surprise, "That's great. Thank you, young hero Chang. I'll leave the address to you." As he spoke, Jing Xinxiang took out a paper card. It was his business card. The position of the acting leader of Greenstone sect was printed on it. It was quite exquisite. However, with his current situation he rarely gave business cards to people. After all, Greenstone sect only existed in name. "Okay, since you trust me I'll definitely visit." Xiao Chen didn't expect Jing Xinxiang to trust him so much. If it were someone else he would have doubted and asked, but Jing Xinxiang didn't and directly gave him the address. Little did he know that Jing Xinxiang felt that Xiao Chen had no need to lie to him. Because he was the acting leader of a declining sect. What could he lie to? Moreover, Xiao Chen was so powerful. He was a devil general. What was the point of lying to him? "Then I'll wait for young hero Chang. I'll leave first," Jing Xinxiang said with his fists clasped. At this time the first half of the auction ended. He got up and left the venue. After resting for half an hour, the auction resumed. Smiling Maitreya saw that Jing Xinxiang didn't come back and couldn't help but be stunned. He thought that this kid ran fast. He wanted to teach him a lesson after the auction ended. However, it was useless even if he ran. The monk could run but the temple couldn't. The half-hour break is over. I believe everyone can't wait for Xiaofei's arrival, right? Xiaofei walked to the front of the stage with sexy steps. Under the spotlight, she changed into another set of clothes. The only regret was that her face could not be seen clearly. But thinking about it, it wouldn't be too bad. Sometimes the unseen was the best. The person in charge of the auction knew this principle very well. With Xiaofei around, the value of the auction would be doubled. The surroundings immediately fell silent as soon as Xiaofei spoke, and all of them revealed looks of anticipation. Of course, it was true that they were looking forward to Xiaofei's performance, but it was mostly because every time the auction started, they would bring out the final mysterious auction item. I wonder what it will be this time. Xiao Chen didn't know about this. He just looked at Xiaofei in confusion. He didn't understand what everyone was looking at. "All right, I won't keep you in suspense anymore. The second half of the auction will officially begin." Xiaofei smiled and her sexy lips opened and closed, looking very alluring. "It's about time for our mysterious auction item to appear. Let us invite." At this time a staff member appeared on the stage. In his hand was an extremely small and thin jade box. But what good stuff could such a small box contain? Everyone present was very curious and all of them couldn't take their eyes off it. Many perverted male cultivators who came for Xiaofei also turned their attention to the jade box. The spotlight stopped on the staff member's hand. He slowly opened the jade box and inside was a book. What book was this? How could it be worthy of being the final mysterious auction item? Only Xiao Qin smiled bitterly. As expected, his 5 poison secret manual had been taken out. I believe everyone can see clearly that this is a secret manual. But what kind of secret manual is it? Xiao Fei walked over and gently took out the secret manual from the jade box. She said in surprise, "Wow, it's the long-lost 5 poison secret manual." Xiao Fei's words caused the whole place to fall silent for a short while. Then there was a burst of discussion and sighs. It's really the 5 poison secret manual? Isn't that the special skill of the poison sect? It's long been lost. Why did it appear again? It can't be? Is it real or fake? It's an imposter, right? How could such a thing suddenly appear? And if someone got their hands on it, wouldn't they be stupid not to keep it for themselves and auction it instead? Sure. I think you're the stupid one. What if this was taken out by some big sect? Aren't you courting death? I didn't say anything. All sorts of discussions came from the audience. Xiao Fei cooperated and didn't say anything. She allowed the audience to exclaim. Only by doing this could the value of the 5 poison secret manual be brought out. Otherwise, if it was something that no one was interested in, how could it be called a mysterious auction item? Now I will announce the starting price of this 5 poison secret manual. The starting price is 500 million, and each increment must be no less than 50 million. Once Xiao Fei said this, everyone present was shocked again. Even if it was a mysterious auction item, it wasn't this expensive in the past. 500 million starting price? This was a sky-high price and each increment must be no less than 50 million. This condition was also very harsh. But thinking about it carefully, if this thing was real, then it was really worth this price. Wait, how can this thing be proven to be real? The one who spoke was the arrogant young master. His sect had nothing to do with poison. He had only asked this question to make his presence known and talk to Xiao Fei a few more times. Of course, he didn't rule out the possibility of his sect wanting to buy it and study it. Even if it was a righteous sect, in front of a secret manual that could sweep away the entire Jianghu, the name of a righteous sect was not important. I also know that some people might ask this question. Then, before the auction, I will open the seal of this 5 poison secret manual and read out the contents of the first 2 pages. As for whether it is real or not, everyone can judge for themselves. Xiao Fei smiled and picked up the 5 poison secret manual from the jade box of the staff member. She opened it on the spot and read out, "The 5 poison secret manual is..." The audience was so quiet that even a needle could be heard. Everyone present was an elite of their sect. Whether this secret manual was fake or not, they could roughly guess in their hearts after listening to it. Although they didn't come from the path of refining poison, there were many similarities in the path of martial arts. Alright, that's it for now. You can start bidding now. Xiao Fei put the 5 poison secret manual back and looked around. 600 million. To everyone's surprise, the man in the black bamboo hat who wanted to buy the long-distance talisman was the first to bid. Moreover, he increased the price by 100 million, even skipping the 50 million mark. Every time this man bid, he would always be very generous. However, after a short moment of surprise, someone else bid 650 million. This was a devil sect. 800 million. This time, it was Qing Zhongfan from the Quishan sect who bid. The devil sect was most similar to the cultivation of poison. Therefore, most of the bidders were from the devil sect. Only the background of the man in the black bamboo hat was unknown. 1 billion. The man in the black bamboo hat bid again, as if the money in his hands was not money at all, but just a number. 1 billion. The man from the devil sect continued to bid. 2 billion. Anyway, Qing Zhongfan was rich and overbearing to spend the money of his sect. He didn't feel the pinch at all. Just now, his senior brother had already told him that he could buy anything within 2 billion. Therefore he was at ease at this moment. 5 billion. The way the man in the black bamboo hat increased the price made everyone present speechless. He was just short of announcing in public that he was determined to get it. 2 billion. At this time, another group of dark horses appeared. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. It turned out to be the people from the 10,000 Medicine Valley. Treating people, saving people, selling medicine, and buying the 5 poison secrets might not be for cultivation but for research. However, his bid got rid of many competitors. Qing Zhongfan could only back out. His senior brother just said that it was within 2 billion. Now that it had arrived, he could only turn his head and look at his senior brother again. Forget it. His senior brother shook his head. We don't specialize in research. Even if we buy it, we might not be able to cultivate it. When the time comes, we will easily get into trouble. Although we are the #1 sect in the Devil's Sect, it's not worth it if someone covets it because it's useless. Yes, I understand. Qing Zhongfan nodded. It seemed that his senior brother meant to buy it if it was not too expensive. If it was too expensive, then forget it. If it was too expensive, then it would be a double loss. And the Devil's Sect who had previously bid also stopped at this moment. Because 2 billion was not something that any sect could take out. It had to be settled on the spot and could not be delayed. Therefore, even if some sects could take out the money, they couldn't come up with it in a short time. 5 billion. The man in the black bamboo hat spoke again. He didn't say much. After bidding, he shut his mouth. 3 billion. The man in the black bamboo hat bid again. 5 billion. The man in the black bamboo hat said unhurriedly. The people from the 10,000 Medicine Valley hesitated for a moment and gave up. It was true that the 10,000 Medicine Valley was rich, but it was really not worthwhile to take out more than 5 billion to buy a secret book that couldn't be used for cultivation. Even Xiaoqin himself didn't expect that it would be sold at a high price of 5 billion. It was valuable. The middle-aged man said that it was about 1 billion. It seemed that he had underestimated it. Of course, this was also because of the appearance of the nouveau riche, the man in the black bamboo hat. Without him, it would be impossible to have such a high price. Now Xiaoqin really wanted to shout 4 billion. However, in the end he didn't dare to. If the man in the black bamboo hat wasn't a nouveau riche, he would be ruined. 5 billion going once, 5 billion going twice, 5 billion going thrice. Sold. Xiao Fei was also a little shocked. The transaction price this time, 5 billion, could be said to be the largest single transaction price in the history of the auction. It was unprecedented. Of course, the value of this 5 poison secret book was also the highest. If it was real, then the person who cultivated it might be able to sweep the martial arts world. Chapter 749. The man in black bamboo hat didn't look at Xiao Fei at all. His eyes were fixed on the jade box in the hands of the staff. When the staff came, the man in black bamboo hat directly took out his bank card, completed the formalities and took the 5 poison secret book. He flipped through a few pages in his hand and put it into his pocket. However, he didn't take his hand out immediately. Instead, he fumbled for something. After a while, he took out a talisman. It was the long-distance talisman that he had bought at the auction. He started to activate the long-distance talisman. The next moment, a white light flashed, and the man in black bamboo hat disappeared from the venue. This situation caused all the cultivators present to be dumbfounded, because everyone was looking at the man in black bamboo hat. After all, this guy was so generous that he bought a 5 poison secret book with 5 billion. However, they didn't expect that this man would use the long-distance talisman in front of everyone and disappear directly. Until this moment, everyone understood that this man must have planned this. Or he didn't plan it before, but after seeing the 5 poison secret book, he planned to escape. Everyone understood the possible consequences of this thing. If someone tried to rob it after the auction, it would inevitably cause great trouble for the man in black bamboo hat. Therefore, it was better for him to leave first. In this way, no one could find him. Although it was a little impolite for the auction host to do this, he was a big client after all. The auction wouldn't care much since he had spent 5 billion. Moreover, Xiaoqin secretly guessed that someone must have secretly tipped off the man in black bamboo hat before the auction, so the man in black bamboo hat bought the long-distance talisman in advance. Otherwise, how could there be such a coincidence? Of course, Xiaoqin also understood this. It was understandable for the auction host to inform potential clients who might buy this kind of collection in advance so that the client could prepare some money in advance. After all, it was good for both the client and the auction host. The more money prepared, the more money the final auction price would be. Therefore, Xiaoqin was happier. Moreover, Xiaoqin admired the man in black bamboo hat's approach very much. He was really a talent. In this way, it saved a lot of trouble for Xiaoqin. Everyone's attention would be on the man in black bamboo hat who had bought the 5 poison secret book, and no one would care about who provided the secret book. Even if they thought about it later, Xiaoqin had already left. Xiaoqin wanted to thank the man in black bamboo hat for making such a farce, which made him so happy. Well, let's continue the auction. Although it's impolite to leave midway, our auction house doesn't restrict auctioneers from leaving midway. What if they have something important to say? Xiao Fei had to admit that it was Xiao Fei who could control the atmosphere, the man in of the black bamboo hat. He had to admit that Xiao Fei was very good at stirring up the atmosphere. The influence of the man in the bamboo hat had completely disappeared. Everyone's attention was shifted to her. With her graceful figure and charming smile, the mood became fanatical again. A few more items were sold at a high price. Xiaoqin was getting a little impatient from waiting. He wanted to leave after buying the meteoric iron from outer space. However, the auction was about to end and he still hadn't appeared. He was really anxious. The next item is the last auction item. It is also one of the finale items. Xiao Fei said to everyone with a smile, "I believe that many people have already guessed what it is. Yes, we have released the news of this auction item in advance. It is the meteoric iron." This meteoric iron was originally the first item to be auctioned in the middle of the auction. However, it was pushed down by the 5 poison secret book that Xiaoqin took out at the last moment. If Xiaoqin knew about this situation, he would probably regret it. However, he didn't know that the 5 poison secret book was so important. In his opinion, how important could the thing that Xiaqili wanted be? He didn't expect the result to be like this. However, Xiaqili's information network was not to be underestimated. Unexpectedly, she was able to inquire about this information. However, there was no time to think about this. After all, the purpose of this trip had come. Xiaoqin wanted to focus on winning this meteoric iron. I don't need to say more about the function of the meteoric iron. It can be used to forge weapons for martial artists. This was very difficult in the past. However, with today's technology, smelting it is not a problem. Xiao Fei briefly introduced the function of the meteoric iron. Then she smiled and said, "The starting price of the meteoric iron is 50 million. Each increase must be no less than 20 million. 70 million, 100 million, 150 million. The price of the meteoric iron soared. Xiaoqin didn't join the bidding at the beginning because it was meaningless to do so. He didn't want to bother. So, he waited until the last moment when there were few people competing. Of course, Xiaoqin didn't bid, but he observed secretly. Among these people who participated in the bidding, most of them were from the righteous sections. There were few people from the demonic sections. This showed that this kind of hard weapon was very important for martial arts cultivation, but demonic cultivators didn't seem to care about this. "Brother Yang, when are we going to make our move?" Wang Chake asked in a low voice. He knew that although he had defected to Xiaoqin, he would still be the one bidding. At most, Xiaoqin would not abandon him. However, these risky things couldn't be done by Xiaoqin and others, right? Then what was the point of defecting? No hurry, wait a little longer. You don't have any psychological pressure. When you finish bidding and walk out of the venue, I will disguise myself as someone else and snatch the auction item from your hands. At that time you will not be noticed. After you go down the mountain, find a place to stay first and I will meet you again. Xiaoqin instructed. Then he turned to look at Song Huawu and Xia Shibin saying, "The few of you will go together. When the time comes, Wang Chake's things will be snatched away. Furthermore, there are many of you. No one will make things difficult for you." Xiaoqin had already planned it. The escape method of the black man in the bamboo hat inspired him so that people would ignore the original owner of the 5 poison secret book, but it was impossible to chase the black man in the bamboo hat. When Wang Chake auctioned the extraterrestrial meteoric iron, his physical characteristics would be firmly remembered. No matter where he ran, he might encounter people who coveted it, and he would be blocked by many parties. But if it was snatched away by Xiaoqin, it would be different. Xiaoqin would appear with a new face. Anyway, he could disguise himself as anyone. At that time, only the people nearby would see that Wang Chake was snatched away by him, and the others would not know. When he ran away, even if they wanted to chase him, these people would not be able to do anything. Everyone nodded. Although it was risky for Xiaoqin to run away, they also knew that at this time Xiaoqin's words were orders and they could not be questioned. They had to follow it to be safe. Finally, as the price soared, the people bidding gradually decreased, and there were only 2 left. What Xiaoqin did not expect was that it was actually the long-faced cultivator, and the smiling Methreya from before. These 2 people were sworn enemies. Once they were at each other's throats, there would be no end to it. It suddenly gave Xiaoqin a headache. At this moment, the price had soared to 500 million, which was already a high price for the extraterrestrial meteoric iron. But none of them had the intention to give up. 600 million. The price was still refreshing, and it was the smiling Methreya who made the bid. Do what you want. 600 million it is. You just like to be a sucker. The long-faced cultivator curled his lips and gave up bidding. So what? The smiling Mithra sneered. Wang Chake, make your move. Xiaoqin said. 620 million. Wang Chake raised his paddle and bid. Huh. The smiling Mithra was taken aback, and then his face became extremely gloomy. His gaze swept over Wang Chake, and he found that it was exactly where Jing Xinxiang of the Greenstone sect was sitting. They must be a group. Motherf * Ker Green Rock sect, are all your people going against me? Are you trying to get back at me? Are you deliberately raising the price? Fine, I give up. I'll let you spend 620 million to buy it. Let's see if you can afford it. From the smiling Mithra's point of view, Jing Xinxiang wanted to buy the 1,000-year purple snow lotus, but he gave up bidding because he did not have enough money. He was unwilling, so he pretended to leave first, and then found a friend to sit in his seat to make trouble for him. He did not believe that such an unknown small sect could spend 620 million to buy a piece of extraterrestrial meteoric iron. This was completely illogical. The smiling Mithra was from the Joyful clan, so he had no use for this extraterrestrial meteoric iron. Could it be used as a prop for dual cultivation? Wasn't that bullsh *T? He participated in the bidding because he saw the long-faced cultivator make a move, so he could not help but jump in to make trouble. But now that he could cheat the Green Rock sect, why not? So he sneered and said, fine, since the Green Rock sect wants to buy it, I'll give it to you. I don't know what you're going to do when you go back. Don't tell me you want to be the sea stabilizer? Xiaoqin was stunned. At first, he did not understand why the smiling Mithra suddenly mentioned the Green Rock sect. But when he saw Wang Chake's seat, he immediately understood. It was Jing Xinxiang's seat previously. The smiling Mithra obviously thought that Wang Chake was with Jing Xinxiang. His words could not be said to be without poison. Even if they could not snatch the extraterrestrial meteoric iron from Wang Chake in this auction, the monk could run, but the temple could not. When the time came, wouldn't it be easy to go directly to the Green Rock sect to find him? Xiaoqin did not expect this inadvertent action to implicate the Green Rock sect. Fortunately, he had thought of a countermeasure beforehand. After the auction, he would snatch the extraterrestrial meteoric iron from Wang Chake's hands. Otherwise, these people would really think that the Green Rock sect had won the auction. Smiling Tiger, you're quite good, huh? Damn it, if I don't harm you, I'll be letting down my title as a hedonistic young master. Just you wait. Xiaoqin thought to himself. Chapter 750. 620 million going once, 620 million going twice, 620 million going thrice. Sold. While Xiaoqin was thinking about it, Xiao Fei had already finalized the deal. The extraterrestrial meteoric iron became Wang Chake's. Because it was the last auction item, many people got up and prepared to leave after it ended. Some lecherous cultivators surrounded Xiao Fei. It was true that they coveted Xiao Fei, but what they wanted more was to win the beauty and build a relationship with the auction. This auction was held by a mysterious organization in the martial arts world. It was said that they were very powerful and financially strong, but no one knew which force, sect, or family it was. Even if they knew, they would not spread it. In short, these cultivators were dreaming of marrying a fair, rich, and beautiful woman. Xiaoqin was naturally not interested. He accompanied Wang Chake and the staff to swipe their cards to get the extraterrestrial meteoric iron. Can we go to the office? There are too many people here. Xiaoqin suddenly said. Oh, that's fine too. The staff was stunned. Generally, only those who had submitted the items would go to the office to get the money. Those who bought things usually swiped their cards on the spot. However, this was the last order for Xiaoqin and the others. The scene was indeed very noisy, so this proposal could not be said to be unreasonable. The staff took Xiaoqin and the others to the office. Wang Chake took out the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's card. He had already contacted the Supernatural Investigation Bureau through text messages. They had already transferred 620 million, so the procedure was successfully completed. Thank you for your patronage. The staff handed the extraterrestrial meteoric iron box to Wang Chake. Wang Chake held it in his hand, but since Xiaoqin did not say he would leave, he naturally would not leave directly. Seeing that these people had no intention of leaving, the staff could not help but be stunned. He asked, is there anything else? Yes, it's like this. Xiaoqin said, I had an auction item before. Can we settle it together? This is the receipt. As he spoke, Xiaoqin took out the receipt. He didn't look for the middle-aged man from before because that would be too conspicuous. He reckoned that someone with ulterior motives would figure out who went to the office to collect the money and analyze who took out the 5 poison secret manual. Oh, this is no problem. The staff took the receipt and couldn't help but be surprised. It turned out to be the sender of the 5 Poisons secret book. However, although he was shocked as a staff member, he knew what to say and what not to say. He just said happily, "Wait a moment, let me verify it." As he spoke, he scanned the QR code and watermark on it, as well as the special identification information to verify that the receipt was real. He then said, "I've already transferred the auction proceeds, after deducting 20% of the commission, to the bank card you left behind. You can check it now." Even if Xiao Chen's receipt was real, it couldn't be transferred at will. It had to be transferred to the account that was left when the auction was first sent. This was also to prevent someone from stealing or robbing the auction receipt. In this way, no matter who came to exchange, the money would still be transferred to the original account. "Thank you." Xiao Chen's mobile phone received a notification that the money had been transferred to the account. He thanked the staff and left the office with Wang Chake and the others. Xiao Chen and the others went in and out of the office, but no one thought much about it. After all, Wang Chake was holding the extraterrestrial meteoric iron box in his hand. Everyone knew that they were going to handle this procedure. As for the middle-aged man's office, there were indeed a few people sneaking around the door, but they didn't go in. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. Fortunately, he had exchanged here. If he had gone in, he might really have been suspected. They walked forward quietly until they were out of the auction hall. Although some people noticed them, no one dared to make a move. "Let's go to the restroom," said Xiao Chen. They did not question him at all. They walked to the public restroom on one side of the hall. After they entered, Xiao Chen looked around and confirmed that nobody else was here. Therefore, he immediately said, "I will pretend to be the smiling Maitreya and rob you later. Wang Chake, you will pretend to chase after me and shout something to let everybody know that you have been robbed." "Yes, of course." Wang Chake was extremely grateful. He knew that Xiao Chen was trying to save him. Otherwise, if everybody's attention was on him, he would not have a good time. Now that the auction item in his hand had been stolen, who would care about him? While talking, Xiao Chen entered an independent compartment and turned himself into the smiling Maitreya. Right now, Xiao Chen was no longer a beginner cultivator in the refinement stage. He was an actual expert in the building foundation stage. Therefore, his entire body was within the range of his transformation. In the blink of an eye, he had become exactly the same as the smiling Maitreya. Even someone as meticulous as Jean Bebe would not have recognized him. Wang Chake pretended to pee on the side, while Song Huawu stood at the door of the washroom and waited. Xia Shibin also pretended to be nonchalant as he lit a cigarette and leisurely walked around. After a while, footsteps came from the door of the restroom. It was 2 cultivators who had come to the restroom. They were obviously dazed when they saw Wang Chake. He was the guy who had won the last piece of the meteoric iron. They both remembered him. However, the 2 of them were from a small evil sect. The meteoric iron was useless to them and they were not very strong. Naturally, they would not think of robbing him. They merely took a few glances at him. Right then, the door of one of the cubicles was suddenly opened, and a fat man rushed out. Without saying anything, he grabbed the auction item in Wang Chake's hand and ran away. Because Wang Chake was focused on peeing with one hand, and only one of his hands was free, he did not grab it very tightly. Therefore, Xiao Chen's attack succeeded. "Ah! Robbery!" Wang Chake turned pale with fright. He did not even have time to pull up his pants and rushed out to chase after the smiling Maitreya. Half of his pants was still out. Song Huawu secretly spat and turned her head, secretly cursing Wang Chake for being so thick-skinned. He even dared to run out like this. It was not that Wang Chake did not want to pull up his pants, but he wanted to act more realistically. Who would care about anything else when being robbed? Even if he had to run naked, he had to chase after it. Xia Shibin also ran out with a cigarette in his mouth. He pointed at the smiling Maitreya in front and shouted, "F***ck your grandma. You can't compete in the auction, so you want to rob it openly?" Everyone helped to stop him. Outside the restroom, a few cultivators who were coveting the meteoric iron saw the smiling Maitreya rushing out with a jade box in his hand. They were stunned for a moment. When they heard Wang Chake and Xia Shibin's shouts behind them, they immediately understood. However, at this time Xiao Chen had already run far away. It was not easy to chase after him. Moreover, these people were not fools. The smiling Maitreya of the Joyful clan was famous. He was a demon general-level expert who had been famous for a long time and was not a weak one. All these years he seldom made a move. No one knew if his strength had improved further now. Who would dare to act rashly at this moment? Wang Chake, Xia Shibin and Song Huawu frantically ran all the way forward. Wang Chake's crotch was still hanging halfway and he had not put it back. The scene was very comical, but none of the cultivators present found it funny. Their attention was focused on the smiling Maitreya. Everyone had different thoughts. Those cultivators who had designs on Wang Chake could not help but be disappointed. The smiling Maitreya had snatched the item away. In that case they basically had no hope. They were not a match for the smiling Maitreya. Wasn't it courting death to intercept him? Moreover, the people from the Joyful clan were very evil and ruthless. They would not do things that would cost their lives if they failed to rob. Xiao Qin exerted his speed to the limit and ran desperately. However, he was surprised to find that other than Wang Chake and the others chasing after him, there were no other cultivators chasing after him. While he was puzzled, he roughly figured it out. This smiling Maitreya was probably a ruthless person. It was no wonder that when this person opened his mouth at the auction, only the long-faced cultivator dared to. Damn. Just as Xiao Qin thought of the long-faced cultivator, the long-faced cultivator appeared. Xiao Qin was so shocked that he almost threw the jade box out. What the heck, I can't be that lucky, right? However, the truth was in front of him. Xiao Qin saw the long-faced cultivator standing in the middle of the road not far away. It was obvious that he was intercepting him. He secretly lamented in his heart. Why was he so unlucky? Of all people he had to meet this guy. Although Xiao Qin did not know how powerful the long-faced cultivator was, to be able to go against this smiling Maitreya, he was obviously not ordinary. Hee, smiling Maitreya, I really didn't expect you to be doing this kind of robbing business. The long-faced cultivator grinned and mocked. However, you are unlucky to meet me. Leave the item behind. Don't force me to take action against you. Xiao Qin was helpless but had no other choice. No matter how he could fight against enemies of a higher level or how he had a sure kill method, he had no confidence at all when facing the long-faced cultivator. After hesitating for a while, countless thoughts flashed through Xiao Qin's mind. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, Senior, I am not the smiling Maitreya. I am pretending to be him to frame him. Ah, that's really funny. The long-faced cultivator subconsciously wanted to mock and ridicule him. However, after thinking carefully, he paused. Are you telling the truth? Of course it's true. How could this junior dare to lie to senior? Xiao Qin said with a bitter smile. You are from the Green Rock sect? The long-faced cultivator suddenly asked. That's right. Xiao Qin knew that it was better to admit that he was from the Green Rock sect. It would be easier for the long-faced cultivator to believe him. However, he was also very strange. This long-faced cultivator seemed to believe him very easily. He had only casually said that he was not the smiling Maitreya, and the other party seemed to believe most of it. Circulate your mental cultivation method and let me see, the long-faced cultivator said. Chapter 751. Yes, Senior. Xiao Qin directly activated a fireball technique and smashed it on the roadside. You can go now. The long-faced cultivator suddenly waved his hand. Ah, thank you, Senior. Xiao Qin did not expect things to go so smoothly. He said a few words and the long-faced cultivator let him go. But this was a good thing. He did not have time to think about it and continued to run forward. The long-faced cultivator sneered. The smiling Maitreya, you have such a day? You've been framed, haven't you? Ah, you'll have a good time this time. However, this kid from the Green Rock sect is a bit interesting. The reason why he believed it before was that he knew the smiling Maitreya too well. This old rival of his was a person who valued his reputation. If he met him, he would rather fight to the death than lie humbly and say that he was not the smiling Maitreya. What's more, asking him to call him senior? That would really be like the sun rising from the west. This was simply impossible. From the smiling Maitreya's prideful behavior at the auction, it could be seen that he was not the kind of person who would give in. Moreover, the fireball technique that Xiao Qin activated was not the smiling Maitreya's martial technique at all. This guy did not know this kind of martial technique at all, so it could be completely ruled out. Since it was to frame the smiling Maitreya, of course he would cooperate. As for the extraterrestrial meteoric iron, he would not snatch it. The long-faced cultivator was self-confident in his strength and did not bother to rob the younger generation. Of course, it was also because he was more upright and disdained to do so. Not long after Xiao Qin ran, Wang Chake, Xia Shibin and Song Huawu caught up. The long-faced cultivator was stunned when he saw that Wang Chake's trousers were still hanging down. What's going on? When Wang Chake and the others saw the long-faced cultivator, they were also shocked. No way. Xiao Qin ran this way just now. Didn't that mean that he had already met the long-faced cultivator? In that case, with the grudge between this horse-faced cultivator and the smiling Mithriya, wouldn't Xiao Qin be in danger? However, they couldn't reveal their thoughts and could only pretend to chase after Huha. Their footsteps were much slower as they wanted to see if the horse-faced cultivator had a jade box or something like that. However, the horse-faced cultivator had a backpack on him. They were unable to see anything, causing them to feel anxious. When the long-faced cultivator saw the people chasing after them, a smile appeared on his face. If it weren't for Xiao Chen's earlier showdown, he naturally wouldn't have been able to guess so much. Now that he saw them slowing down, he immediately understood that they were in cahoots and were putting on an act. He couldn't help but find it a little funny. The people of the Green Rock sect were really talented. They actually used this method to avoid being robbed and even framed the smiling Mithriya. It was really amazing. Not bad, very appetizing. As long as the smiling Mithriya could be defeated, the long-faced cultivator would be very happy. Therefore, when he saw that they were nervous, he said for the first time, "He's in front. It's fine. Continue acting." Wang Chake was stunned. He couldn't help but look at the long-faced cultivator meaningfully. "Senior, you mean? Hee, you know what I mean. Go on." The long-faced cultivator waved his hand. Wang Chake felt reassured. Seeing how friendly this horse-faced cultivator was, he knew that he must have reached some sort of agreement with Xiao Chen. Wang Chake felt at ease. Xia Shibin and Song Huawu felt the same way. Just as they were about to continue chasing, 5 cultivators ran out from the side and instantly surrounded Wang Chake, the group, and even the long-faced cultivator. "Don't talk nonsense. Take out the items from the auction," one of the cultivators in the lead said. He was a level 1 martial general expert. When he swung his fist, he revealed his full strength. "Take out what? Get out of the way. I'm chasing after someone." Wang Chake was instantly enraged. Shouting? "Kid, your style is quite unique. The front of your pants is half exposed. Are you trying to defy the heavens?" The leading cultivator looked at Wang Chake carefully. When he saw his attire, he was immediately amused. "You can get out of the way, but hand over the items. This place is very close to the auction. I don't want to kill people. You better be more self-conscious." "What are you talking about? The items have been stolen. Why don't you chase after them with me?" Although Wang Chake looked very anxious, he was actually trying to buy time. If he caught up with Xiao Qin, it would not be fun. "What's stolen? Kid, don't lie to me. Do you think I'm an idiot?" The leading cultivator sneered, not believing him at all. "I'm not lying. You want to steal the meteoric iron, right?" At this time, the long-faced cultivator spoke. You're from the floating flower sect." The leading cultivator hadn't noticed the long-faced cultivator before. Now that he saw him, he was shocked. He was so shocked that his legs turned to jelly. The long-faced cultivator was not at his level. He could kill him in a second. The meteoric iron in his hand was stolen by the smiling Mithriya. He has already run away. Many people saw this. The long-faced cultivator said lightly. "You stopped him from chasing after him. I guess he has already disappeared." "Senior, is this true?" The leading cultivator obviously knew the long-faced cultivator's character. If he had stolen something, he would not lie. There was no need for him to lie. Although they had more people on their side, they were no match for him. "Do you think I would lie?" The long-faced cultivator's face darkened. No, I wouldn't dare." The leading cultivator was a little hesitant. Should he chase after Xiao Qin or continue to interrogate Wang Chake? At this time, a few cultivators who were watching from behind also caught up. When they saw that Wang Chake was surrounded, they could not help but ask, "Did you catch up?" "Don't mention it. I was chasing him, but these people stopped me." Wang Chake complained angrily. "How can I chase him now? He's long gone." Xiao Qin turned around and came back, but the meteoric iron had been put into his backpack. His current appearance had also changed to that of Yang Jianan. "How is it? How did such a big thing happen while I was taking a dump? I heard that the smiling Mithriya stole the meteoric iron. Did you catch up?" Xiao Qin ran over and asked in a hurry. "No. I'm really unlucky this time." Wang Chake said angrily. "Big brother, look at these people. They surrounded me and delayed me." "Humph, who surrounded you? Don't talk nonsense." The leading cultivator was now clear that the meteoric iron had really been stolen by the smiling Mithriya. If it was someone else who had stolen it, he could still try to chase after him. But the smiling Mithriya was in existence with the same strength as the long-faced cultivator. Therefore, he quietly let his men disperse and did not admit that he had surrounded Wang Chake. Otherwise, he would not get the meteoric iron and be treated as a robber. That would not be good. Then let's hurry up and chase after him. Xiao Qin yelled. We can't catch up. Wang Chake said with some frustration. Forget it, it's too late. Ah. No way, we spent so much money I didn't expect. Xiao Qin looked disappointed. The long-faced cultivator looked at Xiao Qin and smiled meaningfully. Okay, don't surround him. Disperse. If you have the ability to watch the fun, go and chase after the smiling Mithriya. With the long-faced cultivator's words, everyone also dispersed. The leading cultivator had long wanted to leave. It was his carelessness that spoiled the matter. He was afraid that the long-faced cultivator would blame him for this matter. Xiao Qin and the rest walked down the mountain dejectedly. By this time, the news that they had been robbed by the smiling Mithriya had already spread. If someone bumped into them, they would at most point at them. No one had any intentions of robbing them anymore. Several people arrived at the parking lot safely. They didn't stop. They got in the car directly and drove away quickly. Brother Yang, your trick is amazing. We deceived all these people. Wang Chake gave a thumbs up in admiration. Come on, look at you. It's really embarrassing. You didn't even fasten your pants. Song Huawu said with some contempt. Haha, didn't I want to act realistically? If I had the time to fasten my pants, would I still be robbed? Wang Chake smiled indifferently. How about it, Brother Yang? My sacrifice is quite big, right? I exposed myself for the sake of acting. Not bad. Xiao Qin nodded. Chake, in the future when you join our group, don't think too much. We will definitely treat you like a friend, but if you want to betray us, I won't let you go. I understand, Brother Yang. You treat me better than Song Billion. In today's situation, even Song Billion, that old thing, would choose to give up on me. With this comparison, I know how good you are to me, Brother Yang. Wang Chake said gratefully. Well, if that's the case, then I won't say much. It depends on your performance in the future. Xiao Qin nodded. Drive directly to Lan City and hand the extraterrestrial meteoric iron to the Research Institute for research. In order to avoid trouble, Xiao Qin planned to send the extraterrestrial meteoric iron to the Research Institute. In this way, those martial arts sects who coveted it couldn't do anything. They were different from foreign terrorist spy organizations. They didn't dare to openly rob the Military Advisors Research Institute. That was undoubtedly equivalent to courting death. Therefore, even if they knew, it would be of no help. They didn't have the guts to go against the armed forces. When the time came, they just had to be wary of people like Kai Wuliang. The car rushed all the way and finally arrived at Lan City in the middle of the night. It went directly to the gate of the Military Research Institute and was stopped. Because the car didn't have the license plate of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, there was no pass in front of the car. Xia Shibin, who was driving, showed his ID. The deputy leader of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's Team C. This title was loud enough, but to everyone's surprise, the gatekeeper said, Sorry, I have to ask for instructions. Instructions? Xia Shibin was immediately unhappy. We have something important to do. Hurry up and let us in. Why does the Supernatural Investigation Bureau need to ask for instructions before coming here? What do you mean? I'm the deputy leader of Team C. Why do I need to ask for instructions? Chapter 752. The guard was actually in a difficult position. He had to tell the truth. I'm sorry, Deputy Team Leader Xia. A deputy director of your Supernatural Investigation Bureau is here, so everyone who comes here has to report. If I let people in privately, I will be punished? Deputy Director? Is it a liar? Xia Shibin was stunned. Xiao Qin spoke at this time. He looked at the guard and asked, You said that the Deputy Director is here. Who is it? I'm sorry. I can't reveal it. The guard said carefully. How can you talk like this? This is our Deputy Director Yang. The person who came is a Deputy Director. Our brother Yang is also a Deputy Director. They are of the same rank. Xia Shibin was a little annoyed. Ah? The guard was stunned and looked at Xiao Qin in disbelief. I'm Yang Jianan. You should know me. I was responsible for solving the theft of the chip data here. Xiao Qin said, This is my ID. Xiao Qin was polite. He wasn't as angry as Xia Shibin because the guard was also doing things according to the rules. There was no need to make things difficult for him. The guard did hear about Yang Jianan. At this moment he was shocked. This was a powerful person. He went to Lego Town to retrieve the encrypted chip. This matter had already spread in this military research base. At this time he was a little excited to see him in person. He checked Xiao Qin's ID and found that his rank was really a deputy director. He quickly said, Deputy Director Yang, Deputy Director Song is here? Song Billion? Xiao Qin frowned after listening. What is he doing here? I don't know, but Deputy Director Yang, please come in. The guard said quickly. There was no need to report. With Xiao Qin's rank he could freely enter and exit here. Xiao Qin nodded and let Xia Shibin start the car. They drove into the military research base. Brother Yang, where are we going now? Asked Xia Shibin. You drive first. Walk around here. I want to see what Song Billion is doing, said Xiao Qin. Okay, Brother Yang. Xia Shibin started the car and walked around the research base. Xiao Qin's perception was very keen. Soon Xiao Qin found the problem. You park the car in front of the banquet hall over there, Xiao Qin said, pointing not far away. Okay. Xia Shibin responded and parked the car in front of the door. Everyone is hungry, right? It's a hard journey. Let's eat something first. Xiao Qin got out of the car first, pushed open the restaurant's door and walked in. Xia Shibin, Wang Chake and Song Huawu followed closely behind. Who are you? A banquet is being held here, please do not barge in. A guard at the entrance of the restaurant immediately rushed over and stopped Xiao Qin and the others. Xiao Qin glanced at the guard and knew that he did not recognize him. The last time he came to carry out a mission, he had always appeared as Xiao Chang. Now that he was Yang Jianan, it was normal that he did not recognize him. Yang said, Xiao Yang Yang. Xiao Yang, to Yang Xiao, to Yang. The guard was stunned. I'm sorry. The senior leaders of your Supernatural Investigation Bureau are having a meal here, so please don't disturb them. Presumptuous. This is also a senior leader of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. How can Song Billion, the old bastard, eat inside? Our brother Yang came here after completing a mission from thousands of miles away. Can't he have a meal? Wang Chake jumped out directly. In order to show that he had completely sided with Xiao Qin, he said loudly. If he slandered Song Billion in public, he wouldn't be able to go back. He was also using this to prove his intentions to Xiao Qin. The guard was a little stunned. After listening to this, he was in a dilemma and didn't know how to deal with it. In his opinion, Wang Chake shouldn't be a liar. If he could enter the research base openly, he must be a person with a proper identity. Such a person shouldn't be a liar. Just when he didn't know what to do, a voice sounded in the restaurant. Who broke in? Dr. Su, your management isn't good, right? I think there are big loopholes. I heard that someone broke in at the door. With your management model, no wonder the data was stolen last time. Dr. Su was a little embarrassed after listening. He was naturally the person in charge of this research base, Suinda. He wasn't good at socializing with people. His whole life was dedicated to learning. He wasn't interested in these superficial things. Today, Song Billion suddenly visited and said that he wanted to invite Suinda to dinner, but Suinda had a research project in his hand. He couldn't spare any time at all. Even if he was free, he wouldn't easily participate in this kind of unofficial dinner. After all, his identity was a bit sensitive. What if the other party wanted to steal some research secrets from his mouth? Although it should be impossible with Song Billion's identity, he was already used to it. He really wouldn't go to an unfamiliar person's treat. But it doesn't matter. My junior is a top student. Not only is he good at management, but his skills are also very good. He is also an overseas returnee. His knowledge is also very good. He is the most suitable person to work as a coordinator here. Song Billion said, I still need Dr. Su to take care of me in the future. This is easy. Suinda had a headache. He wasn't good at this kind of social interaction. He didn't know where this Song Billion got his connections and arranged his junior to work at the research base. The procedures were already done, but Suinda just found out about it. In the past, when the research base recruited newcomers, they would go through strict screening. Especially after the last incident, it was even more so. Suinda didn't expect Song Billion to arrange someone to come in without saying a word. Of course, Song Billion must have used the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's channel. In the name of the mission, he could arrange someone to come in. This made Suinda helpless. Well, who is outside the door? Why aren't you leaving? I'll go and see for myself. Whoever dares to be rash here, I'll slap him to death. Song Billion stood up. He intended to show his power and let Suinda see his power. However, just as he stood up, a voice sounded. Song Billion, who do you want to slap to death? Yang Jianan? Song Billion looked at the person and was shocked. Why are you here? You're quite good, aren't you? You even learned to arrange jobs for others? How much did you get? Xiao Qin said sarcastically with a smile that wasn't a smile. Yang Jianan, don't talk nonsense. This is my junior, a real outstanding talent. Song Billion said seriously, recently the research base has been having problems, so I recommended a young talent. How can this be considered arranging a job? Up to you. Xiao Qin waved his hand and ignored him. He casually sat on the main seat where Song Billion was just now and said to the staff standing at the side, "Give me a new set of chopsticks. I want to eat." Yang Jianan, what are you doing? Don't go too far. This is my position. Song Billion suddenly became furious. I want to impeach you at the meeting. You are arrogant and condescending. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you are with Xia Zhili, the old man. Song Billion, isn't it a bit magical for you to say this? Xiao Qin smiled and said, it's normal for me to come here. But for you, you came here for no reason. Did you ask for leave? Have you talked to Deputy Bureau Chief Ling? Then why did you talk to him? Song Billion asked, shouldn't you be performing tasks at the auction now? How did you come here? Could it be that you messed up the task and didn't dare to go back, so you came here to show off? Idiot. Wang Chake rolled his eyes and glanced at Song Billion. When Brother Yang came here, he naturally completed the task. Then he escorted the meteoric iron to the research base and had a celebration banquet. Who do you think you are? You dare to talk nonsense in front of Brother Yang. I think you don't want to live anymore, right? Brother Yang can send you to outer space with a slap and let you develop Mars. Wang Chake, you're rebelling. Song Billion suddenly became furious. If Xiao Qin scolded him, he wouldn't be so angry. After all, Xiao Qin and he were enemies, but Wang Chake was his man. You're really right. I'm rebelling. What about it? I'm following Brother Yang now. Wang Chake looked at Song Billion proudly as if he was going to piss him off. Good, very good. Song Billion was so angry that he didn't know what to say. Yeah, you're right. I'm good now. Wang Chake smiled. Yang Jianan, you actually got the meteoric iron and you're unscathed? Song Billion looked at the four of them and felt a little incredible. Why, Song Billion, do you want to curse us? Or are you saying that your ability is too bad that you think we can't do this? Xiao Qin asked mockingly. It's nothing. Song Billion shook his head with some disappointment. Although Yang Jianan, the deputy bureau chief, took advantage of Xiao Qin, now Yang Jianan also made a great contribution. He brought the meteoric iron to the research base unscathed. This contribution was beyond doubt. He was a little worried that it wouldn't take long for Yang Jianan's ranking to be ahead of him. After all, the status of the newcomer group and the C group was basically the same in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. If Yang Jianan was ahead of him, then he would have a hard time. Dr. Su, I'll leave little Song's matter to you. I'll go first. Song Billion knew that he would be slapped in the face if he stayed here. It was better to leave as soon as possible. Uncle I. A young man named Little Song glanced at Song Billion and stood up. It was naturally not suitable for him to stay here for dinner. You go with me. Come here tomorrow to report. Song Billion waved his hand. Okay, uncle. Little Song stood up and followed Song Billion to leave. He turned to Dr. Su and said respectfully, Dr. Su, I'll leave first. I'll come here tomorrow to report. Chapter 753. Okay. Dr. Su's impression of Little Song was quite good. He was polite and seemed to be really talented. He was the talent that the research base needed. The person in charge of the computer center had left and the position was vacant. It was a good opportunity for Little Song to take over. However, Song Billion's method of arranging for people to come in without notifying them made Su Inda a little uncomfortable. After Song Billion and Little Song left, Xiao Qin said enthusiastically, Uncle Su, we meet again. Su Inda was stunned. It's me, Xiao Chang. Have you forgotten? You even wanted to marry your daughter to me last time? Xiao Qin laughed. Wow, it's you? Su Inda immediately became enthusiastic. How did you change? I don't even recognize you anymore. I thought you were as arrogant as Deputy Bureau Chief Song. Alright, how did you become the Deputy Bureau Chief? Weren't you the team leader of Team C last time? And I was promoted because of the previous mission. Xiao Qin did not elaborate. This is another appearance. You know, when we, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, carry out missions, we have several appearances. I understand. Su Inda said, so, you also got the extraterrestrial meteoric iron? You brought it here? Can I see it? Yes, I think it's safer to send it directly to the research base. Xiao Qin said, but let's eat first. My subordinates are hungry too. That's true. I was too impatient. All right, Xiao Zhang, go to the kitchen and get some hot food. Su Yinda said to his subordinates. No need. This is not cold. There's no need to waste it. Xiao Qin laughed. He was not too particular about these things. He had experienced the days of selling breakfast in the morning market. How could he be extravagant? Moreover, Song Billion had not eaten much. He had just poured the wine and said a few words before he was chased away by Xiao Qin. Xiao Chang, you and I both like each other. Why don't I marry my daughter to you? You are not arrogant and you are capable. Su Yinda said appreciatively, haha, I'm just joking. You don't have to be nervous. It won't ruin your relationship with Sour. I know. Xiao Qin was speechless. There was nothing going on between him and Sour, right? All right, I won't joke around anymore. Are you all hungry? Everyone, please take your seats. Su Yinda still preferred to deal with Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin's style made people feel comfortable, unlike Song Billion who was always high and mighty. After Xiao Qin invited Xia Shibin, Song Huawu, and Wang Chake to take their seats, everyone began to eat. Because they were really hungry, there was no need for empty words. Su Yinda breathed a sigh of relief. By the way, who did Song Billion send in just now? Xiao Qin suddenly thought of Xiao Song. It said that he's a junior of his, but he's also quite capable. He's an overseas returnee and is good at coordinating work. Our research base just happens to need such a talent. Su Yinda said, it's just that we didn't inform him in advance and suddenly brought him in. Moreover, the procedures and so on have been completed. I'm a little surprised. Xiao Qin nodded. Su Yinda was the highest person in charge of this research base. Song Billion had indeed gone overboard by sending someone in without informing him in advance. Is there any problem with this person? The most important thing in the research base now is not talent, but safety. If there's another spy like before, it won't be fun. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau has reviewed it. There shouldn't be any problem, right? Su Yinda said, only they can review it. I don't have the ability to review these things here. Xiao Qin didn't say anything more. Song Billion's side must have been handled properly. However, logically speaking, there shouldn't be any problem with Song Billion's junior, so he didn't pay any more attention to it and ate with everyone. Song Billion took Xiao Song out of the research base. In the car, Xiao Song handed a small card to Song Billion and said, Uncle, thank you so much. This is the 20 million me that we agreed on in advance. It's an anonymous foreign bank card. Please check it. Xiao Song, you're too polite. Song Billion put the bank card in his pocket and smiled slightly. But let's make this clear. You can't tell others that you're here. Also, don't make trouble for me. Don't worry, Uncle. My dad just wants me to have a decent job. I won't say anything. If I say anything, won't I lose my job too? Xiao Song smiled. Song Billion nodded. He knew about Xiao Song's family background. He was a distant relative of his. In fact, he also helped the Song family to manage a business in the secular world. He was indeed not short of money. Although he only took 10% of the profits every year and had to give the rest to the Song family, it was still an astronomical figure. Therefore, Song Billion didn't even think about refusing his filial piety. Moreover, Xiao Song was now a scientist in the research base. It was also very dignified to say it out loud. Okay, you work hard. If you do well, I'll find a way to promote you. Promotion won't be a problem. Song Billion said. Thank you so much, Uncle. Xiao Song said happily. In Songning City, Tang Tang looked at the identification report in her hand. She was in a daze. It was indeed the blood of her closest relatives. Both bottles were of the same blood, and they were not from the same person because the blood type was different. At this moment, Tang Tang already believed what the mysterious woman said before. Her parents did not die, but they really went to the poison sect. It turned out that they didn't want to abandon her, but they had no choice. Knowing the truth, Tang Tang was a little conflicted. Should she go or not? As a child, when she learned that her parents were in trouble, she had to stand up for them. However, Tang Tang's only doubt was whether the mysterious woman would keep her promise and let her mother go after she went. She didn't doubt that her mother was in the poison sect, but whether the mysterious woman would keep her promise. Just when she didn't know what to choose, the figure of the mysterious woman appeared out of thin air in the room again. Tang Tang was slightly shocked, but she was not surprised. This woman came and went without a trace. Obviously, she had a very powerful strength which was beyond normal imagination. Therefore, no matter how powerful Xiao Chen was, he was definitely no match for this mysterious woman. Tang Tang didn't want to cause trouble for Xiao Chen. She vaguely guessed that this woman should be from the martial arts world. Cheng Minjing, Shin Jingxian, and Jin Beibei were all taken away by sects outside the martial arts world, but Xiao Qin had no way to deal with it. Therefore Tang Tang simply didn't say these things. Tang Tang, you should know the result, right? How about it? Have you made a decision? Asked the mysterious woman. Oh, you're here. Tang Tang looked up at the mysterious woman and said lightly. Tang Tang, maybe you didn't believe what I said before, but you should believe it now. The mysterious woman took out a jade box, which floated in front of Tang Tang. What's this? Tang Tang was slightly stunned. Open it and you'll know. The mysterious woman smiled gently. Tang Tang opened the jade box with some doubts and saw an antique booklet in it. There were 4 words written on it, 5 poison secrets. Tang Tang was slightly surprised. The peerless martial art you mentioned is this 5 poison secrets? You got it? Of course. Now you won't doubt what I said, right? The mysterious woman was actually very surprised. She was also informed by the auction at the last minute that there was a 5 poison secrets, which made her very excited. She had originally gone to the auction to see if there were any rare medicinal herbs that could be used to refine poison, but in the end, there was such a pleasant surprise. It turned out that she was the person in the black bamboo hat at the auction. She didn't expect that she was a woman. If everyone knew that such a precious 5 poison secrets was casually thrown in front of Tang Tang, they would probably be shocked to death. Is this true? Tang Tang glanced at it and asked. It should be true. I've seen it. It's almost the same as the sex records. The mysterious woman said, after you cultivate it, you can have a peerless martial art. Don't you want to give it a try? After I leave with you, can you really let my parents go? Asked Tang Tang. There's no need to lie to you. With her current situation, it's not suitable for her to cultivate the 5 poison secrets, and you are the best candidate. The mysterious woman said, I think that since you're about to join the poison sect, there should be more trust between us and not deception. I won't lie to you and make you hate me in the future because I don't dare to offend an expert who can sweep the martial arts world. Don't you think so? Then my mother, her body is like this now. Is she not going to live for long? Xiao Qin hesitated for a moment and carefully asked. If you master the divine skill, then her life and death will be in your hands. You can help to absorb and dissolve the poison in her body, and she will become an ordinary person, a real ordinary person, said the mysterious woman. She won't be troubled by her physique anymore. Tang Tang nodded. In fact, she now believed the mysterious woman. Although this mysterious woman had always been very mysterious, it seemed that she never wanted to lie to her, nor would she use force on her. Instead, she honestly told her some facts. However, in this way Tang Tang felt that they were equal, and the mysterious woman also gave her enough respect. Let me think about it. Tang Tang sighed. If I go with you, will I not be able to come back? Not in a short period of time. We want to stimulate your poison body, so there is a process. When you truly cultivate this 5 poison secret book and reach a certain level, you can walk the martial arts world. The mysterious woman said, at that time, your strength might be higher than mine and I'm very free now. What do you think? I don't want to lie to you, you can judge based on my current situation. Chapter 754. I believe you. Tang Tang said, I have thought about it. How can I contact you? I will come every day until you agree or not, the mysterious woman said. If I refuse, will you be very disappointed? Will you force me? Tang Tang suddenly asked. I will be disappointed, but there is no need to force me. If you don't cooperate, it's useless for me to take you back. The mysterious woman shook her head. Okay, then come tomorrow. I will give you an answer. Tang Tang said. That's settled. After the mysterious woman finished speaking, she left with a fragrant wind. She came and went without a trace. With her speed, no one could catch up with her at the auction without the long-distance charm. She used that because she didn't want to expose her identity. Tang Tang looked at the back of the mysterious woman and sighed faintly. She realized that there were many times when she could not control herself. She now understood Xiao Qin very well. Actually, it should be said that she had always understood Xiao Qin. She had said those things to Xiao Qin previously because she was afraid that he would worry about her. She and Xiao Qin were a couple who had gone through thick and thin together. How could they just break up? However, some things couldn't be changed by individual ability. Tang Tang shook her head. Since she had made the decision, she planned to go out and get something to eat. Because she was in a bad mood, she hadn't eaten for a day. Sister Tang, why haven't I seen you for a day? Where did you go? Yu Xiaochuan was surprised to see Tang Tang. Do you think my dress looks good? Do you think Xiao Chen's boss will like it? You're crazy. Tang Tang glanced at him and threw out 2 words. Then she ignored him and walked to the kitchen of the villa. Although the Xiao family had a restaurant, every villa had a separate small kitchen with some fast food in the refrigerator. Yu Xiaochuan didn't care. He continued to hum and try on the dress. You are my little dress. It looks so good on me. Tang Tang just took a sip of milk and spat it out. Wang Tietio gathered Wang Benbin and Wang Fantian together and held a family meeting. What do you guys think? Did that little bastard Xiao Chen really run away? Wang Tietio had lived for several days, but he didn't see Xiao Chen at all. Therefore he was basically sure that Xiao Chen was not in the Xiao family. Father, I think it must be like this. If that's the case, it won't look good if we're still here. Let's go back. Wang Benpai said, besides, it's not convenient to handle the family business here. You don't have a phone? Don't you have WeChat? Is there no video? Wang Tietio glared at Wang Benbin and said angrily, exploding heavens, what do you think? I say, Grandpa, it's meaningless to stay here. If we stay here, Boss Xiao Chen will definitely not come back. Why don't we go back first and wait for him to come back? Wang Fantian suggested. Not bad, exploding the sky is a good idea. If he comes, we'll come. If he leaves, we'll leave. Wang Tietio nodded his head in satisfaction. Run, you should learn. You're already an adult, so why can't you do it? Even your son is better than you. Yes. Wang Benbin almost burst into tears. Is there any difference between what I said and what he said? It's just that the statements are different. If that's the case, then we'll say goodbye in a while and then return to Tianfang. Wang Tietio made the final decision. On the other side, Xiao Chen finished his meal and handed over the extraterrestrial meteoric iron to Su Inda. After completing the formalities, it was time to leave. Xiao Chen wasn't a member of the research base. He wasn't as annoying as Song Billion, who came here to eat and drink even when he had nothing to do. Early the next morning he returned to Tianfang province by car. He had to go back and submit his mission. When he left the highway of Tianfang province, there was a business car in front of him. Xiao Chen found it familiar. He took a closer look at the car number. Damn, isn't this Wang Tietio's car? They're back? Xiao Chen was shocked, but he thought that his current car belonged to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, and he looked like Yang Jianan. Wang Tietio shouldn't recognize him. Brother Yang, isn't that the Wang family's car? Xia Shibin, who was driving, also recognized it, but he thought that Wang Chake was still in the car, so he didn't say anything more. And it's the Wang family's. Xiao Chen was still very happy. Wang Tietio finally left. Otherwise, it would be quite annoying to bother his grandfather at home all day long. Don't worry about them. Okay. Xia Shibin nodded and drove directly to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Last night, Xia Zhili had already learned the news that Xiao Chen had successfully completed the mission. He also knew that Song Billion intervened in the personnel arrangement of the research base. However, the latter was irrelevant to him. The former was the focus of his concern. In the conference room, Xia Zhili looked at Ling Tian proudly and sighed. We're all here. Now it's the world of the young. I remember that every time we went to the auction to buy things, it wasn't so smooth. Either we were collectively ostracized by people who recognized the identity of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, or we were robbed, or we couldn't compete with others. Deputy Bureau Chief Yang not only offered a reasonable price, but he also delivered it safely to the research base. What kind of ability is this? I think such a talent should be promoted. We old people can't hinder the development of the young. Although he said it with a sigh, he didn't look unhappy. Instead, his face was full of smiles. Song Billion's face was incomparably ugly. His ranking was above Yang Jianan. If Yang Jianan went one step further, wouldn't he catch up to him? However, he couldn't refute Xia Zhili's sarcastic words. He could only laugh dryly. Young people should experience more. Okay, let's not talk about this first. Ling Tian said, I just received a notice from the higher-ups. I was supposed to retire this year, but they asked me to postpone my retirement indefinitely and wait for the new appointment letter to arrive. As he said that, Ling Tian handed a document to everyone present. Xia Zhili's face changed. He worked hard for the position of Deputy Bureau Chief of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Now, a document shattered his dream. Although he didn't understand what the higher-ups meant, this document couldn't be faked. After Xia Zhili finished reading it, he passed it to Song Billion. Song Billion, on the other hand, was very happy. He was always afraid that Xia Zhili would be promoted. If Xia Zhili really got promoted, then he would be in trouble. However, now that Ling Tian postponed his retirement indefinitely, it meant that Xia Zhili no longer had a chance. No matter what the reason was, the result was good. The document was passed around. Xiao Qin didn't care. Actually, his impression of Ling Tian was quite good. At least this person was fair. It was good to have him take charge of the situation. Next, let's talk about Deputy Bureau Chief Yang. Deputy Bureau Chief Yang has established a great merit this time. Logically speaking, he should be promoted. However, because of some things before, everyone had a tacit understanding. This can only be considered as Deputy Bureau Chief Yang's merit. Ling Tian waved his hand. This matter was settled. Next, I'm going to talk about a very important matter. Everyone knows that the outer martial arts world has been planning for the Devil Gate Conference. It's the election for the Devil Gate leader. We have to follow up on this matter. After hearing this, everyone's expression turned serious. Even Song Billion became serious. After all, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's control over the outer martial arts world was very weak. Although there was Team A to balance them, in reality Team A only cooperated with the outer martial arts world guilds. Basically, they only played a role in moderation. They couldn't control the ordinary aristocratic families like Team C and Team B did. They were already very weak. If the sects in the outer martial arts world joined forces, then the Supernatural Investigation Bureau wouldn't be able to interfere at all. Even the outer martial arts world guilds wouldn't be able to interfere with the Devil Gate. Everyone knows our current situation. If all the Devil Gate in the outer martial arts world joined forces and listened to the orders of the Devil Gate leader, it would definitely have a great impact on our management. Even Team A under my command wouldn't be able to interfere with the affairs of the outer martial arts world. This is quite disadvantageous for us, Ling Tian said. Deputy Director Ling, I think there's no need to be so worried. Let's not talk about whether these demonic sects can work together. Even if they do you think they will really listen to the orders of the demonic sect leader? Xiao Qin said, why should they listen to him? I feel that this is just a name. When it comes to interest, they will still do their own thing. Deputy Bureau Chief Yang, you are wrong. Song Billion didn't let go of any opportunity to embarrass Xiao Qin. Although they may not be on good terms internally, they will be unified when facing outsiders. You don't have to argue. There are also several factions in our Supernatural Investigation Bureau, but when facing outsiders, aren't we also unified? Xiao Qin was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Song Billion to be so smart. Although the sect was different from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, Xiao Qin didn't continue to refute. Yes, what Deputy Bureau Chief Song said makes sense. We must nip it in the bud. Ling Tian nodded and said. Okay, then how do we prevent it? Xia Zhili said, can we stop it? If we say a word, will the Devil Gate Conference be cancelled? Does everyone think that is possible? Of course that's impossible. Ling Tian was a little embarrassed. He smiled bitterly and said, that is why we have to think of a way together. Deputy Bureau Chief Song said it so clearly and logically just now. I think we should let him speak. Xia Zhili narrowed his eyes and directly kicked the trouble to Song Billion. Didn't he say the most just now? Then let's continue. Deputy Bureau Chief Song, do you have a good plan? Ling Tian said, if this matter is handled well, it will be a great merit. I think the higher-ups don't agree to my retirement because of this, right? If there is trouble in the Wulin, I really can't retire here. After hearing this, Song Billion's heart moved slightly. He said indifferently, this is a great merit. It is an opportunity. Deputy Bureau Chief Yang is young and capable. I think we should let him handle this matter. No matter what, as long as this Devil Gate Conference is destroyed, I am willing to step back and let him be ranked above me. Chapter 755. Oh. Ling Tian was slightly stunned. Xia Zhili frowned. Although Song Billion spoke of this matter in a dignified manner, and it seemed like he had sacrificed a lot, in reality, it was basically impossible for Xiao Qin to disrupt the demon sect's gathering. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Therefore, Song Billion would not suffer any losses. On the other hand, Xiao Qin would be too embarrassed to mention his promotion in the future because he did not complete this task. However, Xia Zhili did not say anything. He wanted to see what Xiao Qin thought. Although it was obviously impossible, what if Xiao Qin had a way? Now that Xiao Qin had surprised him again and again, he was full of confidence in Xiao Qin. He felt that Xiao Qin could create miracles. Deputy Bureau Chief Song, I don't think it's good to give this task to Deputy Bureau Chief Yang. After all, his personal ability is limited. This is a group matter, not a child's play. Ling Tian frowned and said, I know what you are thinking, but if this kind of thing is messed up, it will not benefit either of us. Song Billian's face suddenly turned red. Ling Tian clearly saw through his thoughts. At this time he was a little embarrassed. I was thinking that Deputy Bureau Chief Yang is a young talent. Since he is capable, he should be more tolerant. It's not a big deal. Oh, Deputy Bureau Chief Yang, what do you think? Ling Tian hesitated and asked. I can only say that we can try. Xiao Qin was still very concerned about the affairs of the outer martial arts world, especially when it involved the Kuei Mountain sect. Xiao Qin was not willing to let it go easily. Now that there was such a legitimate opportunity to investigate, Xiao Qin really had to thank Song Bilian. However, there were some things that had to be made clear. After all, the Devil Gate Conference was not something that Xiao Qin could stop alone. If Xiao Qin could stop this kind of event, he would have brought Qing Minjing back long ago. Why would he let her suffer in the Kuei Mountain sect? Moreover, he could force the Kuei Mountain sect to reveal his father's whereabouts and the mastermind behind it. Therefore, this was not realistic at all. It's good to try. Song Bilian said, since Deputy Bureau Chief Yang is confident, then this matter will be handed to him. What do you all think? Xia Zhili thought about it and nodded. Let's try our best. If Deputy Bureau Chief Yang can't do it, we have other ways. We can't just ignore him. Of course. Ling Tian nodded his head. Let's all work hard to think of a way. Actually, Ling Tian had no confidence that Xiao Chen would be able to complete the mission. In fact, he himself knew that he had no way of interfering with the affairs of the outer martial world. These demonic sects would not listen to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Next, let's talk about how to deal with Wang Chake, Song Bilian said. Wang Chake is a good person. He performed well in this auction. He was the one who called out the bids and cooperated with me to successfully escape. So I don't think we should touch him, Xiao Qin said. Well, Deputy Director Xia is the Deputy Director in charge. What do you think? Ling Tian was slightly taken aback. He naturally knew that Wang Chake was Song Bilian's man, but why did Xiao Qin speak up for him? Xia Zhili was also taken aback. Xiao Qin held a meeting as soon as he came back. He didn't have time to talk about Wang Chake's matter. However, Xia Zhili and Xiao Qin already had a tacit understanding and trust each other. So when Xiao Qin said this, he naturally followed suit. It's good that he knows his mistakes and can change. I think we should forget about this matter. Song Bilian's face was a little ugly. Wang Chake betrayed him and even scolded him. He naturally wanted to use today's opportunity to teach Wang Chake a lesson and let this guy know the consequences of betrayal. But now that Xia Zhili said so, it was not good for him to continue. If it was any other time, he would definitely not let it go. Even if he made things difficult for Ling Tian, he would argue with him. However, he had just tricked Xiao Qin to deal with the demonic sects event. If he made some more requests, Ling Tian would definitely not support it. Since Deputy Bureau Chief Xia has said so, then I won't say anything more. Song Bilian said resentfully. After the meeting, the matters of the meeting quickly reached Wang Chake's ears. Because every meeting was recorded by Deputy Bureau Chief Zhang, it would be transferred to the archives for archiving. As long as it was not specifically stated to be confidential, everyone could check it out. Dang dang dang. Xiao Qin just returned to the office with Xia Zhili and heard a knock on the door. Who is it? Asked Xiao Qin. Brother Yang? Oh, Deputy Bureau Chief Yang, it's me, Wang Chake. Wang Chake's voice came from outside the door. Come in, said Xiao Qin. Wang Chake pushed the door open and walked in respectfully. He said to Xiao Qin and Xia Zhili, Deputy Bureau Chief Yang, Deputy Bureau Chief Xia, thank you for speaking up for me at the meeting. I will follow in your footsteps in the future. I won't let you down. Xia Zhili didn't answer but turned to look at Xiao Qin. Wang Chake is already one of us. He has fallen out with Song Bilian. Xiao Qin pointed to Wang Chake and said, Deputy Bureau Chief Xia, if there is anything in the future, just instruct him to do it. Now Team B and Team C are basically our people. This is also to prepare for you to become the Executive Deputy Bureau Chief in the future. It turns out to be like this. Xia Zhili nodded. Since Xiao Qin said that this Wang Chake was one of them, then he accepted it. Okay, little Wang, you will work under me in the future. Just be obedient. Don't think too much. Go back and work well. Yes, thank you, Deputy Bureau Chief Xia. Wang Chake nodded quickly and said to Xiao Qin, Deputy Bureau Chief Yang, then I will leave first. Go ahead, but be careful of Song Bilian. Don't let him get hold of it, said Xiao Qin. Don't worry. I will not do anything outside of my duties in the future. Even if I want to do something, I will tell Deputy Bureau Chief Xia and Deputy Bureau Chief Yang immediately. Wang Chake replied. After Wang Chake left, Xiaoqun told Xia Zhili about Wang Chake's matter. Xia Zhili nodded happily after listening. Song Billion, this old man, let's see what he can use to go against me this time. Now that Team C and Team B are under our control, he is just a newcomer team. He can't do anything. Yes, but we are not monopolizing power. It's just that some people are causing trouble and the efficiency is low. Now the execution is better. Xiaoqun nodded. As for the executive deputy bureau chief, I'm afraid it won't work. Ling Tian has postponed his retirement indefinitely, so I won't have any chance. Xia Zhili sighed. I'm not much younger than him. Now it seems that I will retire from this position. That might not be the case, right? Xiaoqun said, the Demonic Gate Conference is inevitable, and it is indeed related to Deputy Bureau Chief Ling's Team A, so the delay is normal, but it shouldn't be too long. Once this matter is resolved, he should retire normally. I hope so. Xia Zhili nodded. Alright, are you confident about the Demonic Gate Conference? No, I actually want to investigate my father, so I took this mission. Xiaoqun said truthfully. However, although it has been said before, it is still a bit embarrassing if you didn't complete the mission. This is not good for your future promotion. Xia Zhili said, but if you want to investigate your father, you still have to accept it. Yes. As Xiaoqun spoke, his phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Lan Xinxin calling. Xiaoqun picked up the phone. Lan Xinxin, what's the matter? Xiaoqun, where are you? Lan Xinxin asked. I'm in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. What's the matter? Xiaoqun didn't know why Lan Xinxin called at this time. Today I have an appointment to go for a physical examination, and then there is a very annoying male friend who wants to accompany me. Can you come and help? Lan Xinxin said. Help? How can I help? Help you beat him up. Xiaoqun was a little puzzled. If you don't want someone to accompany you, just refuse. What else can you do? It's not that. I told him that I have an appointment with a boyfriend. He didn't believe me and insisted on coming to see. Lan Xinxin said with some depression. If I don't have a boyfriend, then he will definitely think that I lied to him and then continue to pester me. That will be annoying. So you want me to pretend to be your boyfriend? Xiaoqun guessed Lan Xinxin's intention at once. Yeah. I thought about it. Among my male friends, I have the best relationship with you. Moreover, we have slept together before. It should be natural for you to pretend to be my boyfriend. It won't be seen through. Lan Xinxin said. What do you mean slept together? Xiaoqun suddenly had black lines on his head and said, I can accompany you, but only this time. And as long as you make him give up, then it's fine. Lan Xinxin said happily, when are you free? When are you going for a physical examination? Xiaoqun asked. This afternoon. Lan Xinxin said. It's noon now. Where are you? Xiaoqun looked at the time. I'm at the entrance of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. You can see me when you come out. Lan Xinxin said. You have planned this for a long time. Xiaoqun felt that he seemed to be fooled. Lan Xinxin called him only after she came. It didn't matter whether he agreed or not. No way. I just passed by here and then I suddenly thought of it, so I called to ask. Lan Xinxin explained. Well, you wait for me downstairs. Xiaoqun didn't have a car from the airport before. Lan Xinxin sent him, so she wouldn't refuse to help at this moment. What? Is there something? Xia Zhili asked with a smile. And it's Lan Xinxin. She wants me to pretend to be her boyfriend to deceive another person who is pestering her. Xiaoqun didn't hide it. Then you go. There's nothing else here. You should be prepared to go to the outer Wulin. Xia Zhili said, there's nothing else during this time. I'll help you keep an eye on it. Chapter 756. Thank you, Deputy Bureau Chief Xia. Xiaoqun really didn't want to stay here every day. He would be bored to death. Hee, go ahead. I know you can't stay here. Young people don't like to sit in the office. Xia Zhili said with a smile, but you have to be careful when you interact with the Wang family. Don't get hung up on. Then I can't stand up for you. I know. Xiaoqun smiled bitterly. He thought, I have been hung up on. I don't need to be careful. Wang Tietia is living in my own house. Outside the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's office building, Xiaoqun saw Lan Xinxin's beetle parked in the parking space in front of the door. He quickly walked over and opened the door. He saw Lan Xinxin touching up her makeup in front of the mirror. Why did you put on makeup? Xiaoqin was stunned. He was baffled. Didn't you say that you want to check your body? I made myself a little ugly so that the guy wouldn't be interested in me. Lan Xinxin said as she turned her head and looked at Xiaoqin. She asked, Am I ugly? Xiaoqin was shocked. What is this Lan Xinxin doing? How is this ugly? It's obviously very beautiful. It's not inferior to a movie star. Before, Lan Xinxin had always been barefaced, and she was already very beautiful. Now with makeup she was even more charming. Never mind the pursuer, even Xiaoqin was a little tempted. Are you going to a beauty pageant? Xiaoqin patted his forehead and got in the car. Go ahead. I know you can't stay here. Young people don't like to sit in the office. Xia Zhili said with a smile, but you have to be careful when you interact with the Wang family. Don't get hung up on. Then I can't stand up for you. I know. Xiaoqin smiled bitterly. He thought, I have been hung up on. I don't need to be careful. Wang Tietio is living in my own house. Outside the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's office building, Xiaoqin saw Lan Xinxin's beetle parked in the parking space in front of the door. He quickly walked over and opened the door. He saw Lan Xinxin touching up her makeup in front of the mirror. Why did you put on makeup? Xiaoqin was stunned. He was baffled. Didn't you say that you want to check your body? I made myself a little ugly so that the guy wouldn't be interested in me. Lan Xinxin said as she turned her head and looked at Xiaoqin. She asked, Am I ugly? Qian was shocked. Xiaoqin was shocked. What is wrong with Lan Xinxin? How was this ugly? She was obviously very beautiful, not inferior to a movie star. Before, Lan Xinxin had always been barefaced, but she was already very beautiful. Now that she had makeup she was even more lovely. Qin. Xiao Zhili is, to say. Qin, are you going to a beauty pageant? Xiaoqin slapped his forehead and got into the car. No, I also want to make myself look uglier, but I look good when I make myself look better. I can't be cruel to myself. Lan Xinxin was also a little depressed. Forget it. Let's just do it. I think you should wash it off. Don't let that person pester you and beat me up again, Xiaoqin said. That's not possible. Lan Xinxin couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. He's still very gentlemanly. That's not necessarily true. That's because he hasn't seen your boyfriend yet. After seeing me he's probably almost crazy. Xiaoqin shrugged. He had seen too many people like this. It's not that exaggerated. Lan Xinxin couldn't help but laugh after listening. Let's go. He said that he was waiting for me at the entrance of the hospital. After that, Lan Xinxin started the car and went in the direction of the hospital. Lan Xinxin's appointment was at one of the best hospitals in Tianfang Provincial Hospital. The parking lot was already full of cars, but just as Lan Xinxin was looking for a parking space, a sedan drove away. Lan Xinxin quickly parked the car in the parking space. However, what surprised Xiaoqin was that when Lan Xinxin just parked the car, the door of another Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle next to it opened. An elegant gentleman came out of it with roses in his hand and went directly to Lan Xinxin's beetle. Xinxin, I've been waiting for you for a long time. This is for you. The elegant gentleman waited for Lan Xinxin to get out of the car and gave the roses to her. Xiaoqin looked at the elegant gentleman and looked at the off-road vehicle parked on the side. He was a little puzzled. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Why did Lan Xinxin stop next to it? Thinking about it carefully, when he was looking for a parking space, the sedan next to the Mercedes-Benz drove away without warning, and Lan Xinxin just happened to stop. All this seemed to be a coincidence, but thinking about it carefully, could it be that the elegant gentleman deliberately arranged it? He asked someone to reserve a parking space next to him in advance. When Lan Xinxin came, he pretended to give up the parking space coincidentally. I don't like roses the most, said Lan Xinxin. Ugh, didn't you say last time that you don't like lilies and like roses? The elegant gentleman suddenly felt a little embarrassed. I like blue roses, said Lan Xinxin. Oh, you should have said it earlier. After the elegant young man heard this, he threw the rose in his hand into a nearby rubbish bin with a so sound. His accuracy was so high that it made Xiaoqin speechless. However, the strength that he revealed in that instant made his heart tremble. This person was a martial cultivator, and his strength was definitely not low. After throwing it away, the elegant gentleman opened the trunk of the Mercedes-Benz and took out a bunch of blue roses from it. He came to Lan Xinxin again. Xinxin, look, this time it has turned blue. This. Lan Xinxin was a little helpless, but she had already said what she wanted to say before. She could only take the blue roses from the elegant gentleman and said, "Okay, I'll accept it. Wang Peifeng, there's nothing for you to do here." "How can that be? Didn't we agree that I will accompany you for the checkup?" The elegant gentleman called Wang Peifeng was not moved at all. "Let's go. I have already helped you register in advance. I have acquaintances in the hospital. What are you checking? I'll go and greet them." "No need." Lan Xinxin said coldly, "If you go and greet them, how can other people see the doctor? I don't like to cut in line." Look. Wang Peifeng originally wanted to be attentive, but he blushed instead. "Qinshin, let's go. Ignore him." Lan Xinxin said as she held onto Xiao Chen's arm. Feeling the softness of Lan Xinxin's chest pressing against his arm, Xiao Chen was startled. His heart was like a monkey and his mind was like a galloping horse. Lan Xinxin was very beautiful today. Her fragrant scent wafted over with the breeze, causing Xiao Chen's heart to be moved. "Ahem. You are." However, Xiao Chen did not lose his reason and asked, "We have to pretend to be intimate. Otherwise will he believe us?" Lan Xinxin lowered her voice. "Look, he's watching over there. If we're exposed, then it's useless." "Okay." Xiao Chen could only agree. Fortunately, it wasn't his first time pretending to be a boyfriend. However, this kind of situation with a love rival made him feel uneasy. Xiao Chen didn't know how to cooperate. Lan Xinxin didn't say anything about humiliating this person or ignoring him. Also, Xiao Chen didn't know what this person's background was. Looking at his strength, his background shouldn't be weak. If he offended someone because of something unrelated to him, then it wouldn't be fun. Therefore, Xiao Chen could only bite the bullet and listen to Lan Xinxin's orders. The two of them quickly walked into the hospital while Wang Peifeng followed closely behind. When they arrived at the registration counter, they found a queue and stopped. Wang Peifeng seemed a little confused. "I already registered, so I'll just use it. Otherwise it'll be a waste. He also needs to be checked. We'll do a premarital checkup together." "Are you registering for two people?" Lan Xinxin said. After Wang Peifeng heard it, he was suddenly shocked. "Xinxin, why are you getting married? When did this happen? Why didn't I know? Whether I want to get married or not, I don't need to ask you, right?" Lan Xinxin rolled her eyes. "You're not my elder. But I am." Wang Peifeng was a little angry. "With this kid? Do you really want to do a premarital checkup?" "Yeah, it's better to check in advance just in case," Lan Xinxin said. "Kid, don't think that I don't know who you are. Aren't you a deputy leader of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau? What qualifications do you have to be with Lan Xinxin?" Wang Peifeng suddenly became angry. He pointed at Xiao Chen and shouted, "Who are you again?" Xiao Chen was a little surprised. This Wang Peifeng even knew what he did, but it was old news. "You don't need to know who I am. My identity isn't enough for you to know." Wang Peifeng said proudly, "Kid, if you know what's good for you, leave Xinxin. Otherwise, I will make you look good." "Oh, I always thought that I was quite good looking." Xiao Chen was also angry. Isn't this Wang Peifeng's sense of superiority a little too strong? I don't know what his background is, but he said faintly, "I am now the Deputy Director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. I hope you can speak with respect. Don't find trouble for yourself." "Aha, Deputy Director? Don't talk nonsense. Can you be the Deputy Director?" Wang Peifeng was stunned, but he smiled and said, "Even if you are the Deputy Director, what can you do? Don't think that I'm afraid of you. It's useless." Wang Peifeng's words really made Xiao Chen a little surprised. Even the Deputy Director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau doesn't care about this person's background? Is he someone from the outer martial arts world? But how can someone from the outer martial arts world pursue Lan Xinxin? Oh, if Lan Xinxin doesn't like you, it's useless. Xiao Chen was too lazy to argue with him, so he returned the original words. What else do you have in addition to this advantage?" Wang Peifeng sneered and said, "You don't have to be proud. I will use my perseverance and patience to move Lan Xinxin. At that time you can just wait to cry." Xiao Chen didn't know how to explain to this person. This is simply godly logic. Isn't this advantage enough? And if it was so easy to be moved, then Lan Xinxin wouldn't have asked him to pretend to be her boyfriend. Obviously, Lan Xinxin didn't have a good impression of him at all. He didn't know where her confidence came from. "Whatever you say," Xiao Chen said. Chapter 757. Right, it just so happens that I will also register for a check. Maybe Xinxin and I will get married then. Wang Peifeng thought about it and said, Who wants to marry you? Don't you have a brain? Lan Xinxin glared at him. Hee, I will check anyway. Wang Peifeng said shamelessly. Soon it was Lan Xinxin's turn to register. Because Wang Peifeng had already registered for Lan Xinxin, he registered for 2 more people. Wang Peifeng rushed to pay the money, and Xiao Chen took advantage of him. Humph, you can't even afford the registration fee. Poor. Wang Peifeng snorted. Someone is willing to pay for the registration fee and he thinks he is great. I can't say anything. Xiao Chen said coldly. He also noticed that this Wang Peifeng didn't seem to have a high IQ. He only knew how to talk. However, holding the registration card, Xiao Chen suddenly remembered something and said to Lan Xinxin, Xinxin, why do I check this thing? Aren't you here to check the body? Why are you checking this too? Isn't it because I want to let him go? Lan Xinxin also looked helpless. But he doesn't leave. After hearing such a private matter, not only did he not leave, but he also wants to check together. I really admire him. I also admire him. Xiao Chen shrugged. Then let's really go for a check. Otherwise, what should we do? You look at his appearance. He won't give up until he dies. Ah. Lan Xinxin sighed. Looking at this, he doesn't want to give up, right? Xiao Chen glanced at Wang Peifeng and whispered, if he keeps pestering you, won't I have to pretend to be him? I didn't expect him to be so persistent. Lan Xinxin spread her hands and looked at Xiao Chen. AI, if you are in trouble, don't help. I don't want to cause any trouble for you. Forget it. Since I have already helped, then I will help to the end. Xiao Chen had no choice but to nod. The 3 of them walked forward together. Wang Peifeng was bouncing on the side as if she was boxing. Xiao Chen was speechless when he saw this. When they arrived at the entrance of the physical examination department, the first one was to draw blood. Because there were still people in front of them, they had to line up here. Hey, why are you squeezing? Go to the side and stay there. If you continue to squeeze, I'll kill you with my hammer. Wang Peifeng saw a young man with shifty eyes squeezing around like a thief, so he threw a punch at him. Bang! The young man's head tumbled. Brat, you're courting death. The thievish-browed youth got up from the ground, pointed at Wang Peifeng and said angrily, I'm lining up here, why did you push me? I'm done for, it hurts so much, my head hurts all over. As he spoke, the young man with shifty eyebrows began to roll on the ground. Doctor, I want a checkup, I want emergency treatment, I can't take it anymore, I was beaten up. Are you sick? Wang Peifeng was not moved at all. He walked over and stepped on the head of the young man with shifty eyebrows. The guy's nose was bleeding, but Wang Peifeng was not satisfied. He also stepped on the ground a few times, causing the skin of the young man with shifty eyebrows to break. Since you can't take it anymore, then I'll help you. You can die now. Xiao Chen looked at Wang Peifeng dumbfounded. Isn't this guy a tiger? Is he here to pick up girls? Can such a bloody guy still capture Lan Xinxin's heart? Don't. Brother, I was wrong. Brother, I don't want to die, I can do it again. Let me go, I'm fine. The young man with shifty eyebrows did not expect that not only did he fail to blackmail Wang Peifeng, but he was also trampled more violently by the other party. Be careful in the future. Get lost. Wang Peifeng withdrew his foot and said with a proud face. Yes. The young man with shifty eyebrows got up and ran away. Xinxin, how is it? Am I a reliable person? After Wang Peifeng finished, he looked at Xiao Chen provocatively. I'm telling you, a man must be brave. Don't think that you are the deputy director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. It's useless to be a coward. If I show my bravery a few more times, Lan Xinxin will definitely like me. Xiao Chen slapped his forehead. How did I get such a pursuer? It's like my brain is missing a cord. AI Xiao Chen, then I really have to continue to trouble you in the future. Lan Xinxin also said with a headache. The blood was drawn very quickly. Soon it was Xiao Chen's turn. Wang Peifeng also drew his blood, and then the 3 of them went to the next consulting room. Take this small cup, fill it with urine and test it here. A nurse gave 3 disposable cups to Xiao Chen and others and said, We still need to test urine? Xiao Chen was stunned. Of course, hurry up. The nurse pointed to the bathroom not far away. Be careful when you do it. Don't get it outside. You will get it all over your hands. Xiao Chen couldn't help it. He took the paper cup. Lan Xinxin, what kind of physical examination did you sign up for? Why is there a urine test? You're a man. I asked you to take a cup of urine, and you're doing this and that. Is it so difficult? Even if you ask me to drink urine, I won't blink. Wang Peifeng glanced at Xiao Chen and said disdainfully, Did you see that? This is called courage. This is called courage. How can Lan Xinxin, a girl from a martial arts family, like an ordinary man? I think you got the deputy director position through your relationship, right? If you're brave, then drink it. Xiao Qin didn't know what to say after listening. The other party's IQ was beyond his imagination. Tiske. Wang Peifeng snorted. Right, Xinxin, it's not convenient for you girls to take urine. How about I help you take it later? Get lost. Lan Xinxin glared at him. Are you sick? Ugh. Wang Peifeng was stunned. How am I sick? Xiao Qin, do you want to help me? Lan Xinxin turned to look at Xiao Qin. Me? How can I help? Xiao Qin was shocked and almost dropped the cup. Isn't there a gap under the cubicle? Just reach in. Lan Xinxin said. Forget it. That's the women's toilet. If I go in, I'll be kicked out. Xiao Qin shook his head quickly. Look at your cowardice. Xinxin, I dare. Wang Peifeng immediately said, For my beloved woman, never mind going to the women's toilet, I dare to go to the morgue. Wang Peifeng, that's enough. Lan Xinxin frowned. Oh. Wang Peifeng closed his mouth after Lan Xinxin said it. The three of them went to the toilet to collect urine and then sent it back to the testing place. It was the next test, but the men and women weren't together. However, this test was a bit awkward. Lan Xinxin accompanied Xiao Qin to check first. She saw the nurse give Xiao Qin a disposable cup. You still want to do a urine test? But there's no more. I can't pee anymore. Xiao Qin was stunned. What urine test? This is to test the activity and defects of the cyanobes. You go to the opposite row of rooms and see which one is empty. Go in and solve it yourself. The nurse said, There are posters and videos in the room. Take a look yourself. Ah. When Xiao Qin heard it, he was stunned. I think we should forget about this. How can we forget about it? Premarital examination is the most important step. This determines whether you can have a healthy pregnancy in the future. Hurry up. You're a man and you still need to be shy. The nurse glared at Xiao Qin with disdain. Yeah, isn't it just masturbation? You are too unmanly. I started masturbating when I was 4 years old. I know I started masturbating mutton skewers. Wang Peifeng opened his mouth and began to brag, but he suddenly found that he was bragging too much, so he quickly changed his words. Lan Xinxin rolled her eyes at him. Do I have to do it myself? Xiao Qin suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Nonsense. Did you read too much gossip? Do you think that there is a nurse to help? The nurse said, Don't daydream. Xiao Qin, do you want me to help you? Lan Xinxin suddenly said. That's right. Your girlfriend is right next to you. Let her help you. Look over there, it's all couples helping each other. I'll give you another cup. You can give her some secretion too. She's going for a test later. The nurse took out another cup and said, But don't really do it. It will be hard to test if you mix it together. What? Xiao Qin looked at the tough nurse in amazement. But thinking about it, the nurses in this department were really not competent if they were not bold. All right, hurry up. What are you waiting for? The nurse waved her hand and gestured for Xiao Qin to leave. Then she gave Wang Peifeng a cup and said, You go too. No problem. Wang Peifeng promised directly and loudly, I'm not like some people. I'm very brave. Lan Xinxin, your suitor seems to be a bit brave. Xiao Qin didn't say the next sentence. He thought that Wang Peifeng and Lan Xinxin were really a good match. Both of them were a bit brave. But he naturally couldn't say this. After all, he was here to help, not to matchmake. It's okay. Just make do. Lan Xinxin shrugged. What am I going to do? Xiao Qin shook his head. Yes, I think we should omit this step of the test. We are not really married. How can that be? If we don't come, people will think that we have a problem. Lan Xinxin said, yes, I remember. It must be that your part isn't good. I broke it and you were embarrassed to say it, so you refused to check. Am I right? How is it possible? Xiao Qin was choked by Lan Xinxin. Then let's check it. Lan Xinxin said, Actually, I'm also quite anxious about you. Let's try it, okay? If it really isn't good, treat it early. Don't drag it out. There's really no need and I'm fine. Xiao Qin refused with a dumbfounded expression. Come on. For this matter, I deliberately learned the male rejuvenation massage technique from the short movies. It should be effective. Lan Xinxin stretched out her right hand and showed it to the left. I think my technique should be okay. Okay. I'll do it myself, okay? Xiao Qin was forced by Lan Xinxin. Then you wait for me here. Chapter 758. Xiao Chen took the paper cup and found an empty room to escape. He locked the door and breathed a sigh of relief. The environment here was very cozy. The layout was the same as an otaku's bedroom. There were a few sexy female star pictorials on it. There was also a player, probably something like a short movie. However, Xiao Chen wasn't in the mood at all. After thinking for a long time, he still didn't feel anything. He could only open the player and look at it, but he lost interest after a few glances. The women in it were really not good looking. They were far worse than Xin Jingxian and Tang Tang. He turned off the player helplessly. Xiao Chen not only wasn't interested, but he felt a little disgusted and bored. After all, the girls around him were much better than him in terms of appearance and temperament. Looking at these things, Xiao Chen's eyes were also a lot more arrogant. He had no interest at all. He walked out of the room with the small paper cup. Lan Xinxin ran over with anticipation, but when she saw the paper cup in Xiao Chen's hand, she was very disappointed and worried. Xiao Chen, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you get it out? That. I don't think it's necessary to do this examination. It didn't come out. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. Why don't I help you? Lan Xinxin's eyes were filled with deep worry. You have to believe in my skills. Although I'm self-taught, I think I should be able to do it. No need. I'm not in the mood today. Xiao Chen quickly refused. Isn't this a joke? If I let Lan Xinxin help me, then Wang Qiqiu won't let me off the hook. Lan Xinxin's eyes flashed a hint of suspicion, and then she seemed to understand something. Xiao Chen, you tell me. Is it still not good? If you're not good, you're in the hospital. Let's go and have a look. I really don't need to see. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. I'm fine. Yeah. Lan Xinxin sighed. She seemed to have a heavy heart, but she didn't continue to persuade Xiao Chen. When the two of them returned to the examination room, Wang Peifeng had already handed in the results. He was looking around at the side. When he saw Xiao Chen and Lan Xinxin, he said, Xiao Chen, let me see if you've done it. F***CK, your amount isn't good either. It's too little. The bottom of the cup isn't even full. I filled half a cup. Xiao Chen ignored him and said to the nurse, I'm sorry, I'm not in the right state today. Let's forget about the examination. No condition? The nurse looked at Xiao Chen and felt a little strange. Lan Xinxin quickly ran over and whispered a few words in the nurse's ear. The nurse suddenly understood. She looked at Xiao Chen and said sympathetically, Young man, you look strong. Do you have any problems in that area? Then you have to hurry up and get treated. You don't have to register again. I'll give you the results of the examination. You can go to the doctor. This. Xiao Chen was stunned. He thought that Lan Xinxin might have said something to the nurse. It was a headache and an embarrassment. What problem do I have? Everything is Lan Xinxin's misunderstanding. At this moment, Xiao Chen seemed to understand something. Lan Xinxin tried so hard to find him to accompany her for the examination. It was probably not because she wanted to be examined, but because she wanted to examine him. After the plane, Lan Xinxin had been worried and guilty. When he told her, she didn't believe him. It was really a headache. Aha, so it's not possible? When Wang Peifeng heard it, he looked at Lan Xinxin with ridicule. Xinxin, if you want to find a normal person, I won't say anything. If you find an incompetent person, then your future life will be difficult. It's none of your business. Lan Xinxin glared at him and held Xiao Chen's arm. Even if you can't do it, I'll be good to you. I'll take care of you for a lifetime. Lan Xinxin's voice was very loud. A few couples who were doing the body examination behind also heard it. They suddenly showed a look of admiration. Especially a short man. After hearing this, he said to his girlfriend beside him, Look at me. Sometimes I'm just a little short and you won't do it. I won't complain in the future. His girlfriend nodded with hidden bitterness. Xiao Chen had a twitch in his heart. Am I being used as a teaching material? But I really don't have a problem. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen gritted his teeth and said, Let's go and take a look. Okay, then let's go. When Lan Xinxin heard Xiao Chen agree, she was very happy. The two of them walked to the doctor's room not far away. Because it was an andrology examination, Lan Xinxin couldn't go in. She could only wait at the door. Wang Peifeng also followed. When he saw Xiao Chen go in, he gloated. Xinxin, do you really want to find an incompetent person? Get lost. It's none of your business. Lan Xinxin glared at him. Am I not being kind? I'm afraid that you will become a widow in the future. Wang Peifeng muttered. Xiao Chen went in for a round of inspection. After he came out, he gave the inspection report to Lan Xinxin and said, It's fine. Are you satisfied now? It's really fine? Lan Xinxin looked at the inspection report and didn't believe it. Could it be that what's written here is fake? Xiao Qin said as he pointed at the various seals on the inspection report. But, yes, you must have bribed the doctor here to stamp it for you. Otherwise, how can you finish the inspection so quickly? No, I still don't believe it unless you take off your pants for me to see, then I will believe it. Lan Xinxin thought of this possibility and felt that Xiao Qin was lying. He must be embarrassed to admit that there was a problem, but because of the special identity of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, the doctor cooperated with him. I'm going to faint. Xiao Qin really didn't expect that after the inspection was completed, Lan Xinxin still didn't believe it. How can I do that? Then why didn't you check it before? Why didn't you let me see it? There must be a problem. Lan Xinxin said firmly. Okay, let's not talk about this. Let's check other things. Xiao Qin didn't want to continue this topic. It hurt him too much. As for the others, forget it. Lan Xinxin was a little dispirited, and she looked like she had a lot on her mind. Xiao Qin looked at her and knew that she was still worried about his problem, but Xiao Qin couldn't explain it. He couldn't really take off his pants and let her try it, right? He had checked everything that needed to be checked, but she still didn't believe it. In fact, Lan Xinxin already thought that Xiao Qin was crippled by her. Even if it was a check, it was a lie. No matter what the result was, she wouldn't believe it. Okay, but the one following behind. Xiao Qin pointed to Wang Peifeng. Let him follow. Let's go eat. Lan Xinxin said. Okay. Xiao Qin had previously thought that Wang Peifeng and Lan Xinxin were quite compatible, but looking at Wang Peifeng's style now, if he and Lan Xinxin were to be together, the two of them would be finished. Two tiger men together, there was probably no hope. After leaving the hospital, Wang Peifeng also followed behind. They got in the car together. Lan Xinxin drove in front, and Wang Peifeng followed behind. They arrived at the entrance of a restaurant one after another. The restaurant wasn't big, but it was very popular. The parking spaces at the entrance were basically occupied. Because Wang Peifeng drove an off-road vehicle, it was easy to park on the sidewalk. But Lan Xinxin's beetle couldn't get up. Xinxin, let me help you. Wang Peifeng quickly ran over and hugged Lan Xinxin's beetle. He directly moved it to the sidewalk and put it side by side with his Mercedes-Benz. Xiao Qin was dumbfounded. No wonder Lan Xinxin didn't want to be with him. This character, he was even more reckless than Lan Xinxin. If she went out with him, it would be really shocking. After settling all this, Wang Peifeng proudly showed off his muscles and then walked into the restaurant under the shocked gaze of a group of people. The restaurant security was also shocked. It was the first time they saw someone parking like this. How was this parking? It was simply taking a car. Xinxin, I really admire him now. No wonder you don't want to be with him. Xiao Qin sighed. Yeah, that's why I called you here. But looking at him, it seems like he won't give up. It's up to you in the future. Lan Xinxin pulled Xiao Qin. They entered the restaurant, but there were no seats. They needed to wait. The waiter gave Lan Xinxin a cue card, and the three of them were ready to wait in the rest area. Xinxin, why are you here? At this time, a man came out from a private room not far away. He seemed to be going to the bathroom. He saw Lan Xinxin at a glance and immediately rushed over. Xinxin, why didn't you tell me that you came here to eat? I'll treat you. Yan Jichuan, it's none of your business here. Lan Xinxin saw Yan Jichuan and seemed to be shocked. She quickly said, my family is eating here. Don't disturb us. Family? Yan Jichuan glanced at Xiao Qin and frowned. But when he saw Wang Peifeng behind him, he immediately became a lot more enthusiastic. Big brother, you are here too. That's great. You and Xinxin should eat together. I've booked a private room. There are no outsiders. We are all familiar with each other. Who's your big brother? I don't know you. Wang Peifeng saw Yan Jichuan and immediately became vigilant. You are Xinxin's cousin. Isn't that my big brother? Our Yan family has already proposed marriage with your Wang family. We have already put this matter on the agenda. Yan Jichuan said, Xinxin, my grandpa plans to personally go to your family to be a matchmaker. I believe Grandpa Wang will definitely agree. Ah, you don't talk nonsense. What cousin, big brother? Cousin. Wang Peifeng was a little anxious. My surname is Wang, not Tang. If you talk nonsense again, I will beat you up. No, I mean you are Xinxin's cousin's cousin, not Tang? Yan Jichuan didn't know what was going on, so he quickly explained. Xiao Qin looked at Wang Peifeng and then looked at Lan Xinxin. He suddenly understood everything. This Wang Peifeng is actually Lan Xinxin's cousin? Isn't that one of the third generation of the Wang family who went to the outer Wulin Wang family to cultivate? No wonder his surname is Wang. No wonder he is so powerful. It turns out to be Wang Tietio's genes. So, this guy was called by Lan Xinxin to act. Chapter 759. Xiaoqin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect Lan Xinxin to have such a clever plan. It was obvious that she was colluding with Wang Peifeng to trick him to come for a physical examination. Now that he thought about it, no wonder he felt that the conversation between Wang Peifeng and Lan Xinxin was a little strange. They were siblings. Xinxin, what's going on? Xiaoqin really didn't know whether to be angry or something else. I'll explain when I have time. Lan Xinxin looked at Yan Jichuan angrily. It's all your fault. What nonsense are you talking about? My boyfriend must have misunderstood. What? Xinxin, this is your boyfriend? Yan Jichuan's gaze towards Xiaoqin suddenly became unfriendly. Originally, Lan Xinxin said that they were family, and he also saw Wang Peifeng, so he subconsciously thought that Xiaoqin was also Lan Xinxin's relative. This is a real pursuer. Lan Xinxin whispered in Xiaoqin's ear to remind him. I don't believe it now. Xiaoqin smiled bitterly. In fact, he could see that Yan Jichuan was a real pursuer, but he said it on purpose. It was originally quite good. You didn't even realize it, but it was ruined by Yan Jichuan. Lan Xinxin was suddenly unhappy, and she hated Yan Jichuan to death. Kid, where are you from? Do you know that I'm from Tianfang Zhenwu's Yan family? Yan Jichuan pointed at Xiaoqin and said, if you know what's good for you, leave Lan Xinxin immediately. She's not suitable for you. Yan Jichuan's tone was arrogant, as if he was facing an ant. In fact, in his eyes, Xiaoqin was indeed an ant-like figure. In Tianfang province, he was basically someone who could do whatever he wanted. The first family in Tianfang was the Wang family, and the second was the Yan family. In terms of overall strength, the Yan family was higher than the Wang family. It was only because the Wang family had direct support in the outer martial arts world, and with the backing of the Wang family, they became the first family in Tianfang province. However, the Yan family didn't, so they could only settle for second place. It had been like this all these years. Even if the Yan family wanted to surpass them, it was impossible, so they just accepted it. Under such circumstances, Yan Jichuan didn't care about anyone other than the Wang family. When he heard that Xiaoqin wasn't a relative of the Wang family, he immediately became arrogant. Oh, it's not very suitable, but I can make do for now. Xiaoqin glanced at Yan Jichuan, patted him on the shoulder and said, thank you for your reminder. What? Yan Jichuan was stunned. He thought that after hearing this, Xiaoqin would either leave with his tail between his legs, or fly into a rage and show his background. But even if he flew into a rage, Yan Jichuan wasn't afraid, because he had never been afraid of any of these families in Tianfang province. He just wanted to wait for the other party to show his background, and then suppress him in all aspects so that Xiaoqin would retreat in the face of difficulties, so that he would never dare to have any ideas about Lan Xinxin again. However, he didn't expect that the other party would accept it humbly and even thank him. All of a sudden he didn't know what to say. He was stunned for a long time before he said, you're welcome. What do you think? Are we going to leave or not? I have to think about it. How can I make a decision in an instant for such a big matter? Ordinary people have to study for a few days to buy a home appliance. Xiaoqin shook his head and said, okay then. Think about it. Yan Jichuan was a little helpless. He really had no way to deal with such a person. If that's the case, let's eat something together. I have booked a private room, and I can introduce a few friends to you. The more friends, the more options. My friends are very powerful in Tianfang province. They are all the young masters of major families. Today we are gathering here. If you give up on Lan Xinxin, then we will be friends. If you have any problems in the future, just say the word. We can basically help you solve it. Oh, but I don't have anything to trouble you. Xiaoqin nodded. Since you are treating, let's go eat. Yan Jichuan was speechless. Listening to Xiaoqin's tone, it seems that he is eating with me or giving me face. However, since Xiaoqin's attitude was good, he couldn't say anything more. He could only bring Xiaoqin and the others into the private room. There were 2 other people in the private room. When they saw Lan Xinxin, Wang Peifeng, and Xiaoqin coming in, they greeted them one after another. However, they didn't know Xiaoqin. But to be able to mingle with these people, their identity must be extraordinary. Cough cough. Seeing his 2 buddies nodding and greeting Xiaoqin, Yan Jichuan quickly curled his lips and lowered his voice. Love rival. Oh. The two of them suddenly realized. One of them, Liang Bufan, was a hot-tempered person. When he heard that Xiao Chen was Yan Jichuan's love rival, he immediately exploded. He slammed the table and said, "Kid, where did you come from? You actually dare to fight with Brother Yan for a woman? Don't you know who has the final say in Tianfang's territory? Tianfang? Isn't that the headquarters of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Isn't it the Supernatural Investigation Bureau that has the final say?" Xiao Chen looked at Liang Bufan in confusion. Liang Bufan was stunned. F***CK, I'm talking about the aristocratic families. Oh, aristocratic families. Isn't that the Wang family? Xiao Chen said without hesitation. Isn't the Wang family the #1 martial arts aristocratic family in Tianfang? Liang Bufan was instantly shaken by Xiao Chen's words, but he couldn't refute it. He couldn't explode even if he wanted to. After a while he said weakly, "What I mean is, other than the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and the Wang family, who else has the final say?" He didn't dare to say that the Supernatural Investigation Bureau didn't have the final say, let alone the Wang family. The people from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau weren't here, so it didn't matter if they talked big behind their backs. But Lan Xinxin and Wang Peifeng were here. If he said that the Wang family was inferior to the Yan family, wouldn't he be courting death? That I really don't know. May I know which family it is? Xiao Chen looked like he was all ears. Bu Fan, don't talk to him anymore, this person. Sigh. Yan Jichuan had suffered in this aspect before. If this Xiao Chen were to be humble, then he was quite humble, but he could choke someone to death with just one sentence, and yet he did not have any temper. Alright kid, I won't talk nonsense with you anymore. The one who spoke was another of Yan Jichuan's underlings. His name was Xiao Wuyo. He directly said to Xiao Chen, "The Yan family that Brother Yan belongs to is the #2 martial arts aristocratic family in Tianfang province. They are a match for sister-in-law Lan Xinxin." Huh? You seem to be older than me. Why do you call me big brother? Xiao Chen looked at Xiao Wuyo strangely. Who called you big brother? Xiao Wuyo was stunned. If you call Lan Xinxin sister-in-law, then I'm her boyfriend. Doesn't that mean I'm your big brother? Xiao Chen said matter-of-factly. Xiao Wuyo didn't continue with the word, I. He had no other choice. Ahem. Yan Jichuan saw his two underlings being defeated. He quickly coughed twice and changed the topic. Let's not talk about this. Xiao Chen, think about it. Break up with Lan Xinxin, and then I will help you find a good job. Our Yan family has a lot of family businesses. You don't have to go to work and you can still get money every month. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for your kindness. I have a job now and I'm quite busy. I can't do a part-time job. Xiao Chen said with some regret. You don't have to go to work. You can just do a part-time job. Yan Jichuan said. Oh, but our unit's management is quite strict. We are not allowed to do part-time jobs outside, especially as consultants for some enterprises. This is not possible. So, thank you for your kindness. Xiao Chen said helplessly. Yan Jichuan slapped his forehead. He found that it was very difficult to communicate with Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's words seemed normal, but it made him crazy. Then forget it. And then thank you anyway, said Xiao Chen. You're welcome. Yan Jichuan sighed. Okay, let's eat. Can I order some more food? Asked Xiao Chen. Yes. Yan Jichuan said weakly. He really wanted to beat Xiao Chen up, but he couldn't grab hold of Xiao Chen's weakness. He was the young master of the Yan family. He was usually quite concerned about his face. He couldn't bully an ordinary person for no reason. He asked Xiao Wuyo to find the waiter. Xiao Chen ordered a few more dishes. They were all expensive dishes. Yan Jichuan looked at it with disdain. If you come to work in my company, your monthly salary is enough to eat several meals. Oh, I had a blood test in the morning. I'm a little dizzy. Xiao Chen said, I have to eat more good food to supplement myself. Then add a bullwhip. Lan Xinxin said as she looked at the menu. But after she finished speaking, she noticed that everyone was looking at her strangely. She suddenly knew that what she said was a little silly. She quickly shrunk her head. Oh, then add one more. Xiao Chen readily agreed. He didn't look embarrassed at all. Yan Jichuan was completely defeated by him. He was really drunk to meet such a rival in love. He didn't understand the sarcasm at all, or he was obviously being sarcastic, but he was listening to it. Yan Jichuan could only let Xiao Chen think about it himself. Yan Jichuan was too lazy to talk anymore. Give me one too. Today I masturbated in the hospital. I also need to supplement myself. Wang Peifeng also said, Xinxin, why do you keep thinking about Xiao Chen? Why don't you let your brother supplement himself? It's really tiring for your brother to act for you. Oh my god, it's the first time I've done this in my life. You're still talking about it? You failed and you're still asking for credit. Lan Xinxin snorted. Don't worry about that. Isn't Yan Jichuan taking over my work? It's the same. Wang Peifeng said casually, I'll have 2 more lamb eggs. You have any? After a while, the additional dishes were served in order. So they saw Xiao Chen and Wang Peifeng eating heartily, while Yan Jichuan, Liang Bufan, and Xiao Wuyo stared at each other. Brother Yan, what's the situation? Should we teach him a lesson? Xiao Wuyo really couldn't help it. Let's watch him eat as if we are accompanying him. Forget it. It's not interesting to bully a small character like him. Yan Jichuan waved his hand with flagging interest and said, this matter is actually easy to solve. Looking at his appearance, he should have no background, and his family conditions are not good. The Wang family will never allow such a person to be with Lan Xinxin. When my grandfather proposes marriage, the Wang family will definitely help us drive this guy away. We don't have to be the bad guys. Chapter 760. That's right. Brother Yan is smart. If it were me, I would have exploded by now. Liang Bufan nodded in agreement. Then we'll let him have it easy today? Xiao Wuyo was unwilling. What else can we do? Yan Jichuan shook his head. Don't cause trouble. Wang Peifeng is here today. Isn't fighting in front of him courting death? As the 3 of them were whispering to each other, there was an urgent knock on the door of the private room. Yan Jichuan, who was halfway through his sentence, immediately frowned. Who is it? What do you want? Liang Bufan asked. The door was pushed open. The driver and underling that Yan Jichuan brought came in. He was a disciple of the Yan family called Yan Laosan. Young Master Yan and I Gangyin and the others arrived early. They parked their car in front of your car and shouted that young Master Yan is a coward who doesn't dare to come out. Yan Laosan said hurriedly. What? And I Gangyin is here now? Didn't we agree to have a showdown in the afternoon? Yan Jichuan was stunned and frowned immediately. I don't know what's going on. Yan Laosan also looked troubled. Who knew that they would come so early and find this place? Damn, someone must have tipped them off. I can't even eat my lunch in peace. Yan Jichuan snorted and said, Humph, then let's go out and see what he wants. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the door of the private room was pushed open with a bang. 3 men who looked like young masters swaggered in. When they saw Yan Jichuan, they said directly, Isn't this young Master Yan? You're quite cool. You're going to be beaten up in the afternoon, but you're still in the mood for a big meal. What's this? Bullwhip? Sheep eggs? Are you trying to eat a big meal? Yan Jichuan's face immediately turned green. He was not the one who ordered this at all. In the end, he was treated as a laughing stock. He glared at Xiao Chen hatefully, only to discover that this guy was still eating happily. He was not affected by the scene in front of him at all. Yelling? He's eating happily? Yan Jichuan, this subordinate of yours is quite a weirdo. He has a big heart. The one who spoke was naturally N.I. Gangyin. He looked at Xiao Chen with disdain and ridiculed. Don't talk so much. How are we going to compete? Yan Jichuan didn't want to study more about Xiao Chen. Although he was angry, he couldn't teach Xiao Chen a lesson in front of N.I. Gangyin. In any case, N.I. Gangyin had already regarded Xiao Chen as one of Yan Jichuan's people. If he were to teach him a lesson, it would weaken their momentum. Let's have a one-on-one battle. The loser will give up his spot as a disciple of the Origin Sky sect. N.I. Gangyin said, Otherwise, when the time comes, our elders will have to work behind the scenes and compete for resources, letting others take advantage of us for nothing. Yes. Yan Jichuan stood up and nodded. Now? That's right. Do you dare? If you're not full, you can eat a little longer. N.I. Gangyin said. No need, let's go. Yan Jichuan snorted, but what if the loser goes back on his word? In order to avoid this situation, I specially invited an expert to be the referee. You will know when the time comes. N.I. Gangyin said. Alright, then let's go to the nearby Xingda Stadium. I have booked the whole place. Yan Jichuan said and walked out of the box. Xiao Wuyo and Liang Bufan quickly followed, but Xiao Chen and the others were still eating here. Seeing that they were about to leave, Xiao Chen quickly said, Hey, don't forget to pay the bill. Wuyo, go pay the bill. The corner of Yan Jichuan's mouth twitched and he waved to Xiao Wuyo. Yes. Although Xiao Wuyo was reluctant, he couldn't ignore Yan Jichuan's words. He turned around and ran to pay the bill. Nai Gangyin saw this scene and said sarcastically, "Young Master Yin, your way of managing your subordinates is really amazing. Do you still have to pay for your subordinates' meals? Why do you talk so much nonsense? Are you a sore loser and trying to find a sense of existence here?" Yan Jichuan said coldly with a frosty face. "We will know who is a sore loser later." Nai Gangyin stopped talking and left the restaurant together. They got into the car and drove away. At this time there were only 3 people left in the box: Xiao Qin, Wang Peifeng and Lan Xinxin. Xiao Qin said curiously, "What are they doing? A private duel?" The leader of the other party is Nai Gangyin, a member of the Nai family in Tianfang. The Nai family is ranked 3rd. Although it is not as good as the Yen family, the gap is not big. The two families have always been at odds. Wang Peifeng nodded on a bullwhip and explained casually, "They don't dare to behave atrociously in front of the Wang family, so these two families are at odds. This time the Yuan-Tian sect is recruiting disciples. There is a quota for the Tianfang province, and both families want to fight for it. You know, if a family has a disciple who joins the outer martial arts world, their status will be completely different. If the Yen family succeeds, although they can't surpass the Wang family, at least they can keep the 2nd place. But if the Nai family succeeds, they will replace the Yen family, so both families are very anxious." "So that's the situation. Then the two of them can privately decide the quota?" Xiao Qin was a little surprised. Under normal circumstances, the two families will definitely try their best to find a way to send gifts to the Yuan-Tian sect, some cultivation resources and money. When the time comes, the one who gives more will be the winner. But in this way the Yuan-Tian sect will benefit from it. The two families are not fools, so the elders tacitly agreed to this private duel to decide the quota. Wang Peifeng continued, "When the time comes, the loser will directly give up and only one person will sign up. Naturally, that person will join the Yuan-Tian sect." I didn't expect these two families to be so smart. Xiao Qin understood after hearing this. He thought that these two young masters were fighting because they couldn't accept each other, but it turned out that there was such a deep influence behind it. Of course they are not stupid, but this matter has nothing to do with us. We are just watching the fun. Let's continue eating. Wang Peifeng said and continued eating. Xiao Qin looked at Wang Peifeng. After all, this guy was a disciple of a big family. Although he usually looked like a tiger, he actually understood everything. Tiger was just a tiger, but his brain was not stupid. Now it seemed that the temptation of the outer martial arts sects to the Zhenwu families was not small. If they could form a relationship with the outer martial arts sects, the family status would instantly rise. No wonder the Xin family and the Wang family were on completely different levels. After eating, Xiao Qin also planned to go back. Wang's siblings, stop acting. I'm going back now. As for the results of the examination, it's true. XNXN, you don't need to worry and doubt anymore. Isn't there still Yan Jichuan? Lan Xinxin blurted out. He was chosen by the outer martial arts sect, so he went to the Yuan-Tian sect. He won't have time to harass you. Xiao Qin shrugged. What if he is not chosen? Lan Xinxin was a little worried. You saw it, he is more annoying than my brother? Hey? How am I annoying? Didn't you tell me to act like this? I even deliberately practiced it for a long time. Wang Peifeng immediately listened after listening to it. You don't know what's good for you. I mean, he is more annoying than my brother's acting. Lan Xinxin stuck out her tongue. Today I actually wanted to take you for a physical examination, so I asked my brother to lie, but Yan Jichuan is real. Well then let's go see in a while and see if that guy won or lost. If he lost, then we will think of other ways. Xiao Qin thought for a while and said. To be honest, he was a soft-hearted person. Since Lan Xinxin's matter was involved, it was not good to give up halfway. After all, they knew each other and had some ambiguous feelings. I think it's fine. I just want to watch the fun. Wang Peifeng agreed. So the three of them left the restaurant and drove directly to Xingda Stadium. The stadium was closed today and there were only 2 people guarding the door. Xiao Qin glanced at them. It was Yan Jichuan's underling Liang Bufan, and the other was Nai Gangyin's underling. Seeing Xiao Qin and the other 2 coming over, Liang Bufan was stunned. Why are you here? I came to cheer for Yan Jichuan. Lan Xinxin said. Ah, then coming quickly. Liang Bufan was overjoyed when he heard it. With Lan Xinxin cheering for Yan Jichuan, wouldn't our chances of winning be much higher? Nai Gangyin's underling glanced at them and didn't say much. After all, this wasn't a group fight. It didn't matter how many people there were. If they were willing to cheer, then go. The three of them entered the stadium. Just as they walked to the arena of the small stadium, they heard a fierce quarrel inside. "And I, Gangin, you are shameless. I obviously won, but you suddenly counterattacked and caught me off guard. How can this be considered as your victory?" Yan Jichuan shouted angrily. "This isn't what I said, it's what the referee said." And I, Gangin's voice was very proud. "At that time, although you beat me to the ground, the referee didn't make a judgment, and there was no countdown, so I could counterattack. Now that I have turned defeat into victory, the referee has started the countdown, so it is my victory." Xiaoqin was stunned when he heard this at the door. What's going on? It sounds like Yan Jichuan has already won, but Ni Gangin colluded with the referee to play some tricks. This won't do. If Yan Jichuan can't enter the Yuantian sect, then won't I have to pretend to be Lan Xinxin's boyfriend in the future? Thinking of this, Xiaoqin couldn't let it go, and directly rushed in with big strides. "Ni Gangin, this is the referee you invited, so naturally he is biased towards you. Today's matter, no matter how you look at it, no matter what, I still win." Yan Jichuan was so angry that he pointed at Ni Gangin and trembled. However, Ni Gangin was calm in the midst of chaos, and he didn't have the consciousness of being shameless at all. He said indifferently, "What? You dare to question the decision of the experts of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Well, if you say it is biased, then go find a place to reason. You lost and you still don't admit it. I think you want to go against the Supernatural Investigation Bureau." "That's right, this is the decision of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Who dares to question it? Could it be that your Yin family doesn't want to stay in the Tianfang province?" A cold voice sounded, but it sounded a little familiar to Xiaoqin. Chapter 761. Yan Jichuan looked at the expert from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau who was invited by Ni Gangin. He was so angry that he trembled and couldn't speak. If it was an ordinary employee, he wouldn't have swallowed his anger and would have made a fuss. However, he didn't dare to do so because of the other party's identity. The consequences of offending the Supernatural Investigation Bureau were quite serious. He heard that the Gao family was uprooted because they offended the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. He could only endure such a disaster for the Yen family. However, he wasn't satisfied. Once he admitted defeat, he would definitely withdraw. After all, it would be more serious if he broke the promise in front of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Can I question it? Since when does the Supernatural Investigation Bureau have the final say? Just when Yan Jichuan was hesitating, he suddenly heard another voice. He turned around in confusion and couldn't help but be stunned. It was Lan Xinxin, her boyfriend, and Wang Peifeng walking in. However, Yan Jichuan's expression changed after hearing their words. Are these three people here to harm me? Ni Gangin now thought that they were all on his side. If they questioned the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, wouldn't it be the same as him questioning them? Wouldn't that make the Yen family and the Supernatural Investigation Bureau enemies? King? The expert referee from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau was halfway through his sentence when he turned around and saw Xiaoqin. He immediately made a "ga" sound and swallowed the words in his throat. "Yang, Deputy Bureau Chief Yang? Why are you here? Pang Fengda, you're pretty awesome, aren't you? You went to the Qi family to show off and then you came here to show off. One day isn't enough for you, right?" Xiaoqin looked at Pang Fengda with a faint smile. "You're here to be a referee? Can you represent the Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Besides, the Jinwu family's matter should be Team B's matter, right? You're the leader of the new B group. Why are you showing off here?" Pang Fengda's face suddenly turned pale and cold sweat flowed down. He knew about Wang Chake's incident. He had to betray Song Billion to save his life. However, he couldn't betray others. Pang Fengda could only admit his mistake with a bitter face. "Deputy Bureau Chief Yang, I thought that since the Ni family invited me, I came to be a witness. Isn't the Supernatural Investigation Bureau serving these martial artists?" "Oh, then how did you decide? Tell me about it," Xiaoqin asked. "It's like this. Ni Gangin broke the rules. Yan Jichuan had clearly won, but he suddenly counterattacked after losing. This is a heinous crime. I suggest we investigate the Ni family. There's something wrong with their characters," Pang Fengda said loudly. He had no choice but to give in. Even an idiot knew that Xia Zhili and Yang Jianan had the final say in the Supernatural Investigation Department. Even Ling Tian had to respect their opinions sometimes. Ni Gangin lowered his head. Although he was unwilling, he didn't expect Yan Jichuan to be so awesome. The person he had eaten with and was mocked by him was actually the deputy director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. My plan was in vain. Not only that, but I was also hated by Deputy Bureau Chief Yang. The loss outweighed the gain. However, he did not dare to refute. He was not stupid. Since Pang Fengda had already admitted defeat, wouldn't he be courting death if he jumped out again? After thinking for a while, a man should know when to yield and when to stand tall. He could only force a smile and said, "Young Master Yen, I lost. I gave up the qualification to be a disciple of the Yuan-Tian sect. I really didn't expect that the Yen family's face was so big that you could even invite the Deputy Bureau Chief of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. As expected of the second largest family in Tianfang. This. Yan Jichuan was actually a little dumbfounded. Why was Lan Xinxin's boyfriend the Deputy Bureau Chief of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Previously, he was still acting in front of him, telling him that he had something to ask of him in Tianfang province. However, with his identity he didn't need him at all. No wonder he said that he couldn't have a part-time job. It was because of his identity. Thinking of what he said before, Yan Jichuan was a little embarrassed. He put on airs in front of him, but in the end he still came to help him. Now he felt that Xiaoqun was really a good person. He was very down-to-earth. It must be because of his enthusiasm before, which made Xiaoqun feel that he was a good person. That's why he came to help him. Thinking of this, Yan Jichuan blushed a little. He looked at Xiaoqun and said, "Deputy Bureau Chief Yang, thank you for upholding justice for me. Oh, didn't you treat me to a meal? Besides, I just happened to pass by." Xiaoqun waved his hand indifferently. "Right, if you go to Yuan-Tian sect, can you still be with Lan Xinxin?" "Aha, I was just joking before. I and Lan Xinxin aren't a good match at all. I don't deserve her," Yan Jichuan said quickly. "Oh, then I don't have to consider it." Xiaoqun nodded and turned to Pang Fengda. "What are you still doing here? Waiting to eat tea?" No, Deputy Bureau Chief Yang, then I'm leaving." Pang Fengda lowered his head, ran out of the stadium in a panic and disappeared. Xiaoqun looked at his back and frowned slightly. The management of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau seemed to be very messy. He didn't know what the mysterious bureau chief was doing. Why didn't he appear even once? Xiaoqun had joined for so long, but he didn't even see his shadow. It would be strange if the management was good. Now the deputy bureau chiefs were doing their own things. Ling Tian could barely suppress everyone, but his control wasn't too strong. They were all discussing. In such a situation, it would create a group of parasites who would seek personal gain. However, these things didn't have much to do with Xiaoqun. He felt that he had a clear conscience towards the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Even if he killed Yang Jianan in Xiaoqun's eyes, there was a reason for it. Moreover, the contributions he made afterward were enough to make up for it. However, if the Supernatural Investigation Bureau wanted to be on the right track and wanted to intimidate the martial arts world, then they needed a strong leader to guide them. Now, many people only cared about their own gains and losses, which wasn't good. However, these things couldn't be changed by Xiaoqun. Although he was the deputy bureau chief, he couldn't order people like Song Billion. "And I Gangin, right? Don't use these crooked ways in the future. In fact, you might not lose in a fair duel. I think your strength is only about the same as Yan Jichuan's. With Pang Fengda as your trump card, you won't do your best." Xiaoqun looked at him and said, "I'll let this matter go. It's also our internal problem. I will talk to Team B and we won't vent our anger on the NI family because of this matter, but after this, it depends on your performance." "I understand. Thank you, Deputy Bureau Chief Yang," NI Gangin said very gratefully. Pang Fengda was so scared, which was enough to show that this Deputy Bureau Chief Yang had real power. It was easy for him to touch the NI family. He was thinking about how to ask for forgiveness, but he didn't expect the other party to brush it off so easily. "You can go." Xiaoqun waved his hand. "Yes." NI Gangin quickly left with his men. At this moment only Xiaoqun, Yan Jichuan, and the others were left in the large gymnasium. The Deputy Bureau Chief Yang, Yan Jichuan was a little scared when he saw that Xiaoqun didn't let him go. "XN doesn't like you. What do you think?" Xiaoqun looked at Yan Jichuan and asked. "This, a fair and graceful lady, is a gentleman's desire. But since XN doesn't like me, then forget it. I will definitely not disturb her in the future." Yan Jichuan quickly said. "And go back and get ready. Go to that Yuan-Tian sect." Xiaoqun nodded, indicating that he could leave. Yan Jichuan hurriedly said goodbye. Wang Peifeng looked at Xiao Chen with some admiration. I didn't know you were so manly. I thought you were a weak chicken before. I didn't expect. Xiao Chen smiled and said, now that the trouble is solved XNXN, can I go? Yes. Lan Xinxin was a little unhappy. She didn't expect the problem to be solved so easily. But her problem was not solved yet. She was not sure whether Xiao Chen was crippled by her. But looking at Xiao Chen's look as if he didn't need her to take responsibility, Lan Xinxin was also very confused. Was Xiao Chen really okay? Or was he embarrassed to say it? With a belly full of worries, Lan Xinxin and Xiao Chen left the gymnasium together. Where are you going? Lan Xinxin asked. I'm going to leave Tianfang. I'm going to investigate some things in the outer martial arts world. Xiao Chen said. Then when can you come back again? When Lan Xinxin heard that Xiao Chen was going to leave, her face was immediately full of disappointment. Not necessarily. Let's see if things go smoothly. Xiao Chen said, but it doesn't matter. If you have anything you can call me at any time. If I have time I will definitely come back. Okay then. Lan Xinxin nodded faintly and got on the beetle. Shall I send you? No, I also have to prepare. Xiao Chen refused Lan Xinxin's kindness because he didn't know where to go now. It was easy to say to go to the outer martial arts world, but it was not easy to do. First of all, the outer martial arts world was a level, not a place. The sects of the outer martial arts world were distributed in many areas. Xiao Chen didn't just say that he would go to a place. At present, his first task was to find out where the Devil Gate Grand Conference was held. However, even the most basic information was not available in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. He had to rely on Xiao Chen to find out himself. Xiao Chen thought of Yi Xiaoya. He was going to go back to Songning and discuss something with Yi Xiaoya. If possible, it would be much easier with Yi Xiaoya taking him there. Besides, didn't Yi Xiaoya also participate in the Saintess election? Lan Xinxin didn't force it anymore. She didn't know why she wanted to make it up to Xiao Chen at the beginning, but now she was a little reluctant to leave Xiao Chen. She felt that she was suddenly missing something when she said goodbye to Xiao Chen. Looking at the back of Xiao Chen, Wang Peifeng said, Xinxin, people say that it's easy for a woman to pursue a man. It doesn't seem to be the case. Is your method wrong? Chapter 762. Then what good idea do you have? Lan Xinxin asked impatiently, what else can you do besides making sarcastic remarks? I'm not a woman. How would I know? Wang Peifeng scratched his head. Didn't you ask Exploding Heavens? Don't mention it. He's with Xiao Chen. Lan Xinxin shrugged. I feel like I'm pushing him too hard. What? Wang Peifeng's eyes widened and looked at Lan Xinxin incredulously. Did Xiao Chen say this? You two are already doing it? Isn't it good to be tight? Oh, by the way, didn't you say that he can't do it? Or is it because he can't do it that you said so? What nonsense. Lan Xinxin was stunned for a long time before she understood what Wang Peifeng meant. What are you thinking? I say, did I force him to do the checkup too much? What are you thinking? Sorry, I misunderstood. Wang Peifeng was a little embarrassed. Can you be more serious? Lan Xinxin said, if you don't have any good ideas, go back to the outer martial arts world and continue your cultivation. I don't need you anymore. Xinxin, you're burning the bridge after crossing it. I came back to visit my family. I don't have much time and I'm here to act with you. Aren't you too heartless to chase me away after using me? Wang Peifeng said sadly. Forget it, I won't talk to you anymore. I'm leaving. Lan Xinxin started the car. Although Xiao Chen could fly on his sword, he still booked a plane ticket. It was too shocking to use these abilities now. It was better to be normal. In Lan City, Su Chuxia and Tian Sauer's residential building had not been haunted for many days. It was as if everything before was a dream. There were no more strange things happening in the elevator, and there were no footsteps in the middle of the night. The property management company sent a few bold security guards to be on duty in the building for several consecutive nights, but nothing happened. This time it was finally confirmed that the haunting was over. Everyone guessed that although Li Xian'er didn't defeat the female ghost, she was on par with the female ghost. The female ghost was afraid of Li Xian'er. She was afraid that Li Xian'er would come back to deal with her, so she left. In this way the haunting ended. Many of the neighbors who had moved away came back. Some of the residents who had sold their houses regretted it, but since the paperwork was done, there was nothing they could do about it. It could only be said that Tian Suruan was courageous, bold, and lucky. Of course, among these people, there was one person who was not satisfied, and that was Wu Lixing. He hesitated for a long time and could not help but call Tian Suruan again. "Hello, is this Miss Tian?" After the call went through, Wu Lixing was thinking about how to get Tian Suruan to return the house to him. "Oh, it's Mr. Wu. What's the matter?" Tian Wangsho also saved Wu Lixing's phone number, so he knew it was him. "It's like this. Can you return my house to me? I don't have a place to live anymore," Wu Lixing said. "Oh, I'm afraid that can't be done. I promised to return it to you before, but you don't want it anymore. Are you torturing me back and forth?" Tian Wangsho was a little angry when she heard Wu Lixing's voice. Previously, she did sympathize with Wu Lixing, so she agreed to return the house. However, Wu Lixing was fickle, so Tian Wangsho was too lazy to care about him. This kind of person was obviously a person who wanted to take advantage of others but was unwilling to take risks. It was not because he was in trouble. "Miss Tian, I'm begging you. Please reconsider." Wu Lixing could only pretend to beg for money. "Okay, I still have something to do. I'm hanging up." After Tian Wangsho finished speaking, she directly hung up the phone. "Hello. Hello. Wait." Wu Lixing hurriedly shouted. At this time there was no sound on the other side of the phone. He could not help but scold, "Damn stinking bitch, how dare you hang up on me? How dare you cheat money from me? Let's wait and see." "Wangsho, who was it?" Su Chuxia saw that Tian Wangsho hung up the phone angrily and could not help but ask. "So I don't mention it. It's that Wu Lixing. He was the one who wanted to sell the house to me. Now that the house is fine and not haunted, he wants to buy it back. What kind of person is he?" Tian Wangsho said angrily, "It's all thanks to my darling. What's wrong with me earning a sum of money from it? You really have the nerve to return your boyfriend. It's obviously fake." Su Chuxia teased. "It doesn't matter whether he's real or fake. Anyway, he has nothing to do with Wu Lixing," Tian Wangsho said. "You're right if you want to say that." Su Chuxia thought about it and nodded. "But if you offend such a despicable person, don't ruin our relationship. How dare he? Xiao Chang will kick him to the southern heavenly gate." Tian Wangsho did not care at all. Su Chuxia thought about it and agreed. It was good enough that Xiao Chang did not find trouble with others. Who would dare to find trouble with him? However, that night, something unexpected happened. At around midnight, the two of them were sleeping soundly when they suddenly heard a faint knock on the door. The knock was very soft. If one did not listen carefully, they would not be able to hear it. However, in the dead of night, one could still hear it after a long time. Tian Wangsho woke up to go to the toilet and felt that something was wrong. He quickly went back and woke Su Chuxia up. "Wangsho, what are you doing?" Su Chuxia looked at Tian Wangsho in a daze. "Is it morning? But it's still dark outside. Is it smog?" "Chuxia, listen. Is someone knocking on the door?" Tian Wangsho said in a low voice. "Knocking on the door?" Su Chuxia was stunned. She said weakly, "Wangsho, are you dreaming?" "It's not a dream." Chuxia, listen carefully. Tian Wangsho pointed in the direction of the door. "Oh." Su Chuxia yawned. She wanted to ignore Tian Wangsho, but at that moment she also heard a soft knock on the door. Dang dang dang, this sound woke Su Chuxia up a lot. She frowned and listened carefully. After a while she said, "Could it be someone else's house? We live in an elevator building. The knocking sounds from upstairs and downstairs won't travel so far. Also, our neighbor's house is mine now." Tian Wangsho said, "Chuxia, do you think the ghost is back?" "Don't talk nonsense. Didn't Xiao Chang recruit the ghost as his subordinate?" Su Chuxia glared at Tian Wangsho and said, "It might be the wind. Go to sleep, don't think so much." No. Chuxia, listen carefully. It's definitely knocking on the door," Tian Wangsho said with certainty. "Okay, let's go to the living room to take a look." Su Chuxia had no choice. Since she was already awake, she got up and went to the living room with Tian Wangsho. The two of them didn't turn on the lights and their movements were very light. After arriving in the living room, the two of them looked in the direction of the anti-theft door at the same time. Dang dang dang. There was a soft knock on the door again. The two of them immediately clasped their hands, and their breathing became slightly rapid. As expected, someone was knocking on the door. This was indeed the sound of knocking on the door. But it was already so late. Who would be knocking on the door? And the knocking sound was so soft? "Let's go and take a look." Su Chuxia hesitated for a moment and said firmly. She didn't believe that the ghost would dare to scare her unless it wanted to die. Xiao Chen wasn't a coward. Killing people and ghosts was just a piece of cake. Okay. Tian Wangshu also agreed. The two of them tiptoed to the anti-theft door and looked through the peephole. However, they didn't see anything. There was no one outside. Su Chuxia shook her head, indicating that there was no one outside. Tian Wangshu didn't quite believe it. He also looked outside and there was indeed no one. Dang dang dang. At that moment there was another knock on the door. Immediately the two of them broke out in a cold sweat. At such a close distance they clearly felt that the sound came from the door, but there was no one outside. What was going on? The two of them were so frightened that they nearly fell to the ground. Tian Wangshu finally couldn't help but exclaim, "Who is it? Who's outside?" However, there was no answer and the knocking stopped. When she said this, she was still looking through the peephole, but there was still no one outside. "Chuxia, what's going on?" Tian Wangshu's voice was trembling. Su Chuxia shook her head. She didn't know either and she was very afraid. She forced herself to calm down and said, "Let's contact Xiao Chang." "Yes, yes." Tian Wangshu immediately nodded in agreement. Outside the door, Wu Lixing leaned against the wall. The angle was parallel to the door, so he couldn't see what was happening through the peephole. He revealed a sinister smile. When he heard Tian Wangshu's exclamation, he was secretly pleased. Didn't you not want to return my house? I'll make sure you sell your own house to me. Just you wait. From today onwards, don't even think about sleeping well at night. I'll torture you to death. Wu Lixing was an unscrupulous businessman. He made money by buying houses and speculating on them. In the past, he would often pretend to be a ghost and knock on the door in the middle of the night, forcing the owner to sell the house as soon as possible. This trick was tried and tested. After waiting for a while, he realized that there was no movement in the house, so he prepared to knock on the door again. The reason why he was so daring was because he had scouted the terrain in advance. On the upper floors there would be a maintenance door on each floor. The maintenance door could fit one person. Therefore, if Su Chuxia opened the door, he would immediately hide behind the maintenance door. No matter how hard Su Chuxia searched, she wouldn't be able to find him. Knock knock knock. Wu Lixing knocked on the door gently again. Just as a sly smile flashed across his face, he suddenly felt someone pat him from behind. "Who is it?" Wu Lijue was shocked. He quickly turned around and saw a pale woman standing behind him. "Are you new here?" the pale woman asked softly. Her voice was hollow, making one feel weak. It was as if the voice came from hell. Chapter 763. What newcomer? I'm the owner of this place. My name is Wu Lijue. Wu Lijue said calmly. Although this woman looked a bit weird, he wasn't afraid of a woman. "Oh, I see." The woman nodded and turned to leave. Wu Lijue breathed a sigh of relief. He was about to continue to scare Tian Suru, but his gaze suddenly stopped. Because he found that when the woman left, she didn't walk but floated away. Her feet didn't seem to move. When he was stunned, the woman suddenly turned her head and looked at Wu Lijue. "No, I haven't seen you, you?" Wu Lijue was trembling. Where did this woman come from in the middle of the night? Bang! A flame appeared in the woman's hand. The woman suddenly floated over, only half an arm's distance from Wu Lijue. "Ah ah ah!" Wu Lijue suddenly screamed. He now understood that this woman was not a human at all. The flame in her hand was clearly the eerie phosphorescence that could only be seen in the cemetery. Moreover, this woman's movement speed was extremely fast. It wasn't something that ordinary people could do. "What's your name? Are you a Nuine cultivator? Or a ghost cultivator? This is my territory." The woman said faintly, "How long have you been dead? Why do you still have the breath of a living person on your body?" "Ah ah 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 ah." Wu Lijue ran in the direction of the elevator. He finally knew that this woman was the female ghost in this building. However, he didn't know when the elevator that was still parked here had gone to another floor. Even if Wu Lijue called for the elevator, he had to wait for a while. He didn't dare to wait. He ran to the stairs of the emergency exit. He didn't dare to look behind him and ran down desperately. "Why are you running?" A voice sounded in Wu Lijue's ear. Wu Lijue turned his head and found that the female ghost was floating down with him. "Big sister, I was wrong. I'm a human, not a ghost. I'm not here to snatch the territory. I'll leave. I'll leave immediately. I'll never come back." Wu Lijue sat on the ground and peed. He was really scared. "Oh, are you a human?" The woman was a little surprised. "Then if I throw you to your death, you will be a dead person." With that, the woman lifted Wu Lixuan and floated towards the window. Wu Lixuan, who weighed more than 50 kilograms, was as light as a bottle of drink in the woman's hand. In the blink of an eye, she reached the window. Wu Lixing peed his pants. He was now sure that this was definitely not a human. This woman could float while carrying him. If she wasn't a ghost, then what was she? Big sister, don't kill me. I have children and old people. Wu Lixing cried with snot and tears. I don't want to die yet. I was wrong. There are young and old at the top? Is your family growing backwards? How do you cultivate? The woman asked curiously. No, I said it wrong. Wu Lixing blurted out in a hurry. Forget it, you're just an ordinary person. Goodbye. After the woman finished speaking, she directly threw Wu Lijue to the ground and quickly floated up the stairs. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared. Wu Lixuan scrambled downstairs. When the woman went upstairs, he naturally didn't dare to go upstairs. He almost rolled down. Out of the unit door, Wu Lixuan panted heavily and sat on the ground. He couldn't stand up. Sir, what's wrong with you? A security guard on duty came over and looked at Wu Lixuan, who was panting, and asked, Do you need to call an ambulance for you? No, it's okay. Wu Lixuan shook his head weakly. Why is there still a ghost upstairs? Don't joke around. How can it be haunted? The security guard's face sank. Now these owners didn't make trouble, and this kid said that it was haunted. How could these security guards be happy? Moreover, they had been on duty for a few days and they didn't see any ghosts. Naturally, they didn't believe his words. Forget it. I don't have a house here anyway. I'm leaving. Wu Lixuan waved his hand, calmed his mood, and walked to the parking lot. You're crazy. The security guard scolded behind him. His attitude toward Wu Lixuan was completely different from before. Fortunately, the house was sold. I didn't expect it to be haunted. I was scared to death. Wu Lixuan got in the car and quickly started it and left. He didn't dare to come again. The woman was naturally Nie Xiaoyu. Tian Suruan was so scared that he contacted Xiao Chen, so Xiao Chen contacted Nie Xiaoyu and asked her to see what was haunted. At a glance, she found out that it was Wu Lixuan. After Wu Lixuan ran away, Nie Xiaoyu knocked on Su Chusha's door. After a while, Tian Suruan's vigilant voice came from inside. Who is it? It's me, Nie Xiaoyu. Nie Xiaoyu said, Young hero Xiao asked me to come. I've scared away the person who pretended to be a ghost. It's you. I've heard of you. Tian Suruan had heard of Nie Xiaoyu, but he had never seen her before. He quickly opened the door and saw a woman with a pale face standing at the door. She was quite pretty, but she looked slightly awkward. She seemed to be exuding coldness from all over her body, and she looked unapproachable. You, come in. Tian Suruan let Nie Xiaoyu enter the door. No, there are too many people in your room and my strength is not enough. After entering, my cultivation progress will be affected. Nie Xiaoyu shook her head. That person said his name was Wu Lixuan, but I scared him away. It's Wu Lixuan. It's him. Su Chusha exclaimed after hearing this. This bad guy. He wanted to take back the house from Suruan, so he used such a despicable method. Fortunately, you helped. Haha, he really met a real ghost. It's good that he was scared to death. Tian Suruan was amused. I'm not a ghost. I'm a yin cultivator. In fact, I'm similar to you, but I have some yin chi on me, so I look like a ghost. Nie Xiaoyu shook her head and explained. Oh, we didn't mean to make fun of you. We just think you're very powerful. Su Chusha quickly explained. No, I didn't think so. I just don't want you to be afraid of me. Nie Xiaoyu said, Young hero Xiao has done me a great favor, so I will take care of you. I don't want you to be afraid of me. If there's anything, you can come upstairs to find me. Oh, we know. Tian Suruan smiled and pulled Nie Xiaoyu's hand. We're not afraid. We're on the same side. What's there to be afraid of? But your hand is really cold. Hee. Nie Xiaoyu smiled. Then I'll go back. You guys rest early. Thank you so much for today's matter. Otherwise, Swan and I would have been scared to death. Su Chusha walked Nie Xiaoyu to the door. This is what I should do. You don't have to be so polite. Nie Xiaoyu smiled. Tian Suruan's matter was successfully resolved. Xiao Chen had already returned to Songning. He stood under the somewhat cold villa and was filled with emotions. Once upon a time, this lively villa gave Xiao Chen too many memories and warmth. This period of time was unforgettable for Xiao Chen. Although he lived with eldest young lady and Jean Bebe for a short time, Xiao Chen understood eldest young lady's character. If he missed such a good fiancée, Xiao Chen would regret it for the rest of his life. Xiao Chen cherished the ambiguous time when they were newlyweds. Although they didn't do anything and didn't confess to each other, Xiao Chen knew that he and eldest young lady had some feelings for each other. However, because of the matters at home, neither of them mentioned it. Finally, these barriers were removed and the Quishan sect appeared. Shaking his head, Xiao Chen put these thoughts aside. He pushed the door open and walked into the villa. The hall of the villa was dark. Xiao Chen's room was also dark and deserted. Only a faint light came from the second floor. Xiao Chen walked upstairs. It turned out that Yi Xiaoya's door was not closed. When he walked over, he heard a dog barking. Then Yi Xiaoya asked vigilantly, "Who is it?" "Old Six, it seems that only a woman lives here," Xiao Chen said in a pinched voice. Then he changed his voice, "Haha, I'm so lucky today. I'm robbed of money and sex. Come on, come on. I can't wait any longer," Yi Xiaoya shouted in a coquettish voice. Xiao Chen was stunned. "What's going on? Is it a trick to lure the enemy? This woman is asking us to go in." Although Xiao Chen was confused, he continued to pretend and said, "It looks pretty good. Let's go in quickly." Yes, come on. I've already taken off my clothes and waited." Yi Xiaoya's voice was filled with excitement and expectation. Not to mention, Xiao Chen really heard the rustling sound of clothes being taken off. He was stunned. "Is this for real? Old Six, this woman is so proactive. Is there a trap?" Xiao Chen probed. "I think so too. Why don't we retreat?" "Alright Xiao Chen, stop pretending. Hurry up and come in for dual cultivation." Yi Xiaoya was a little impatient. "I've already taken off my clothes. Why don't you stop wasting time?" "That's strange. Xiao Yi, how did you know it was me?" Xiao Chen walked into Yi Xiaoya's room and saw that Yi Xiaoya's clothes were taken off to the side. She was covered with a quilt, and the invincible dog was walking around on the floor. The invincible dog stopped barking after one time. Obviously, the people in this villa are back. It's impossible for Cheng Minjing and Jin Beibei to come back. Who else could it be? Yi Xiaoya said disdainfully, "You are really good at pretending. It turns out that this guy sold me out." Xiao Chen kicked the invincible dog out, turned off the light in the room, closed the door and went to bed. The invincible dog groaned pitifully outside the door and ran away. Time flew and it was dawn in the blink of an eye. However, Yi Xiaoya didn't bother to avoid Xiao Chen at all. She curled up in the quilt and lay beside Xiao Chen. "Hey, why did you come back this time?" Chapter 764. I have something important to talk to you about. You asked me to dual cultivate as soon as you came back. It's almost time for public relations. Xiao Chen laid down beside Yi Xiaoya and wanted to hug her. However, he suddenly remembered that he and Yi Xiaoya were not a couple at all, so he stopped awkwardly. "I don't have the guts to do it." Yi Xiaoya glanced at Xiao Chen's hand in the air and asked, "What is it?" "You know that the Devil Gate conference is about to start, right?" Xiao Chen said. "I know. It's the election for the Devil Gate leader. Didn't I say it before? The gate leader is basically a member of the Quishan sect. It's not interesting at all. I don't even want to go." Yi Xiaoya yawned dispiritedly. "I might as well sleep." "Sleep later." Xiao Chen pushed Yi Xiaoya. "I have to go." "What are you going to do?" "Alright. Are you going to run for the Devil Gate leader? Have you made a decision for me?" Yi Xiaoya immediately woke up and looked at Xiao Chen with bright eyes. "You're thinking too much. Look at my strength. Can I run?" Xiao Chen shrugged. "You might as well send me to my death." "Okay, then what are you going to do?" After Yi Xiaoya knew the inside story, she actually gave up on the idea of letting Xiao Chen participate. She was just joking just now. "Think of a way to cause trouble. I'm now the Deputy Director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, Yang Jianan. I accepted such a mission." Xiao Chen was a little helpless when he said this. "After killing Yang Jianan, I still have to pretend to be him and continue doing things. So that's how it is." Yi Xiaoya knew about Xiao Chen pretending to be Yang Jianan. After hearing this mission, she was a little speechless. "You guys really think of destroying the Devil Gate conference? Do you think it's possible? Even if it isn't heavily guarded, it should at least be filled with experts. If you cause any damage, don't even think about leaving alive. Although it doesn't seem very realistic, we still have to go and take a look. Do you know how to get there? Where will the Demon Sect Grand Meeting be held?" Xiao Chen actually knew that it was even harder to cause destruction than to register for the Evil Cult Sect Master election. but he had to go and take a look. In Wutan Town, another name there is Demon Gate Village. It's a small town formed by some outer sect disciples of the Demon Gate after they left the Demon Gate. Almost all the people there are connected to the Demon Gate, and some of the Demon Gate's activities are also held there. Yi Xiaoye said, "If you really want to go, I'll ask the sect to help you sign up. Otherwise, you really can't participate in the Devil Gate Festival at this time." "What do you mean? If I don't run for it, I can't watch?" Xiaoqin was stunned. "That's not it. It's just that the number of invited guests is limited. The invitations were sent out as early as a month ago. As a candidate for the Demon Gate Saintess, I naturally have an invitation. Some of the big shots of the Demon Gate also have an invitation, but you don't." Yi Xiaoye explained. "Of course, the contestants are an exception. As long as you sign up, you can go." "That Wutan Town, can't I go without these two identities?" Xiaoqin was a little surprised after hearing it. "You can go to Wutan Town, but you can't enter the territory of the Grand Meeting. When the time comes, you will definitely enter with your identity. Otherwise, you can only listen from the periphery," said Yi Xiaoye. "Then sign up." Xiaoqin didn't care. Anyway, it was just an identity that made up the numbers, so it didn't matter. "And then I'll talk to the sect." Yi Xiaoye nodded. "Anyway, you already showed up at the Righteous Demon Summit. Everyone knows that you are from our Demonic Star sect. Then when are we going to Wutan Town?" Xiaoqin wanted to see it in advance so that he could observe the terrain and make plans in advance. If he could cause damage, he could plan an escape route. "It's up to you. I have nothing to do anyway." Yi Xiaoye shrugged, but the quilt on her shoulders was shrugged off. Her chest was exposed, but it was quickly pulled back. "Don't look. It's not like I haven't seen it before." Xiaoqin retracted his gaze with some regret. "I'll get tired of looking at it all the time. I have to keep it fresh so that you can come to me often. Your strength is so high now. I've just reached the 7th stage of inner force after working hard. You can already kill the demon general. How can I chase after you?" Yi Xiaoye complained bitterly. "I'll just chase after you," Xiaoqin said with a smile. "You're so annoying. What are you thinking about? I'm not talking about chasing after that. I'm talking about chasing after strength." Yi Xiaoye rolled her eyes at Xiaoqin. "Hee hee." Xiaoqin laughed. "Then let's pack up and leave. By the way, what about Invincible Dog? Is it at home? It can't starve to death, right?" "It won't starve to death. By the way, your dregs are almost used up. Can you boil some more?" Yi Xiaoye suddenly thought of something. "Damn, Hongzhu has gone back. I didn't ask her for more medicinal herbs. Now that I'm strong, some ordinary medicinal herbs have no effect." Xiaoqin said, "But since this dog likes to eat, I'll just boil some medicinal herbs for it to eat." "That's fine. It doesn't seem to be picky. Anything is fine." Yi Xiaoye nodded. Xiaoqin nodded. He got up and put on his clothes. He said to Yi Xiaoye, "You pack up. I'll go buy some medicinal herbs. Then we'll leave." "Okay." Yi Xiaoye replied. Little Red Pharmacy. Xiaoqin hadn't been here for a long time. Looking at the familiar pharmacy, Xiaoqin pushed the door and walked in. He didn't expect it to be open so early. But to Xiaoqin's disappointment, Xiaoqin didn't know the people in the pharmacy. It was a middle-aged man and a young apprentice. Seeing Xiaoqin, the young apprentice immediately greeted him enthusiastically. "Welcome. What kind of medicine would you like to buy?" "I want some Chinese medicinal herbs." Xiaoqin was a little dispirited. He casually named a lot of medicinal herbs. Anyway, it was for the dog to eat, so he didn't pay much attention to it. Although the young apprentice was surprised as to why Xiaoqin wanted to buy so many medicinal herbs, he didn't ask much. He followed Xiaoqin's instructions and bought the medicinal herbs. "How much?" Xiaoqin asked as he took the medicinal herbs. "Mister, may I ask your surname?" the middle-aged man suddenly asked. Xiaoqin was slightly surprised. He didn't try to hide it. "My surname is Xiao. May I ask if you have another surname with the surname Bai?" The middle-aged man's eyes lit up and he quickly asked. "White Fox?" Xiaoqin asked in a strange tone. "Then it can't be wrong. Miss Zhu has already told me that you don't need to spend money to buy medicinal herbs." The middle-aged man said. "Please sign here to confirm it." The middle-aged man said and took out a booklet. After recording all the medicinal herbs Xiaoqin bought today, he pointed to the blank space at the back of the booklet and said to Xiaoqin, "No problem. Many thanks." Xiaoqin didn't mince his words. He and Hongzhu were already very good friends. Besides, although the medicinal herbs he bought today were many, they didn't cost much. They were all ordinary goods. Xiao Qin took the medicinal herbs and left the pharmacy. When he returned to the villa, Yi Xiaoya had already put on her clothes and was cooking noodles. Xiao Qin picked up the electric clay pot and cooked several pots of medicinal herbs for Invincible Dog. As for the medicinal soup, he didn't throw it away and put it in a jar. In any case, the medicinal dregs could be eaten, so the medicinal soup would definitely not be a problem. These were Xiao Qian's basic medicinal herbs. The bitter fruit was Yi Xiaoya's. By the time he finished, it was already night. Xiao Qin stretched his waist and said, "Should we leave overnight or rest for the night?" "Let's take a rest. I just broke through the 7th level of inner strength. I still need you to help me consolidate it." Yi Xiaoya pulled Xiao Qin to the bed, to go for dual cultivation. The next morning at dawn, Xiao Qin and Yi Xiaoya set off. He didn't return to the Xiao family. First, he didn't leave for a long time. Second, he was afraid that Wang Tietio would send someone to monitor nearby. If they saw him coming back, it would be troublesome. Although Xiao Qin didn't know the way to Wutan town, Yi Xiaoya knew. Xiao Qin drove fast all the way. After a day of driving, there were no normal roads ahead, but village roads. Why is this place so old? Why don't we build a better highway? With Wutan town's strength, it shouldn't be a problem, right? That's true, but I'm afraid that some backpackers and people who like to explore will go to Wutan town. This way there will be no road. The road is not easy to walk and there is no map. It is difficult for tourists to go there. After all, the outer martial arts world is also hidden compared to the secular world. Yi Xiaoya explained. Xiao Qin nodded in realization. It was true. If a place full of cultivators suddenly had a lot of ordinary people, it would be really troublesome. The route that Yi Xiaoya directed was very difficult to drive. Fortunately, Xiao Qin drove a Land Rover SUV, so there was no problem. After a night of driving, they finally saw a small town not far away in the morning the next day. When they got closer, they heard people's voices. The cultivators here really got up early. "Okay, just park the car there." Yi Xiaoya pointed to a parking place not far away and said to Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin was slightly surprised. "Can't we continue to drive in front? Why stop here? It's free here." Further ahead is the paid parking lot set up by the Outer Martial Arts Guild. It costs tens of thousands a day. Only a fool would park there. Yi Xiaoya obviously knew this place very well. "Eh." Xiao Qin smiled bitterly. He had been a fool several times before. After parking the car, Xiao Qin and Yi Xiaoya got off and walked there. Sure enough, they saw another parking lot when they got closer. The words Outer Martial Arts Guild Paid Parking Lot were written on it, but even so, there were still many cars parked here. Xiao Qin estimated that besides the nouveau riche cultivators, it was the first time they came here. This looks like a gathering place for cultivators. Back then, when I was in a town near the Hakuna Mata Desert, the situation there was similar, Xiao Qin lamented as he observed the lively scene around him. At that time, Qing Menjing and the others had not left. In the blink of an eye, only Yi Xiaoya was left. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.